Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order tonight's regular City Council meeting of Tuesday, February 17th. All those who are able, I request that you please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty, thank you. We have a nice crowd here this evening. We will endeavor to get through the agenda as quickly as we can. We have a lot on our plate this evening. We will move into quorum. We have present here a quorum, and we will move on to agenda additions, deletions, and amendments. Are there any agenda deletions, amendments? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Acting Mayor Wolfley. I would like to make a motion to move item G under new business, Prince George's County Innovation Work Group, to the item A on the next council hearing agenda under new business.
Second.
All righty. All those in favor, please respond with an aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Any other additions, changes, deletions, amendments? All right, hearing none, we will continue on. This evening, we will start with citizen participation. I will invite folks up. City clerk would bring the list up, and while she's doing that, just a quick comment. You'll have 5 minutes to present us with your thoughts, ideas, concerns, and we will then move on to the next. Couple of things, points of interest and or order. I know there was a rumor going around that we were going to be selling the Ken Hill Center. If you want to speak about that, that's fine, but rest assured we are not selling Ken Hill Center. So if you're... So if nothing else, perhaps that changes the tenor of your comments, and that's perfectly fine for you to come up and speak and share with us as you see fit. All righty. The first, and I apologize if I get folks' names wrong, and sometimes this handwriting is tough to read. First of all, we'll welcome Micheline Gandalf from the Food Pantry. She's the executive director there. Please, Micheline, thank you.
Good
evening, members of the City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to do a brief year-end report. My name is Michaeline Gandolf, and I am the Executive Director of the Bowie Food Pantry. First and foremost, I would like to thank you for the continued support over the last 14 years that we've been at the Ken Hill Center. I would also like to thank Nick Spurgeons and Lori Cunningham for their support with the programs that we've been doing for over a year. The Bowie Food Pantry is a nonprofit that services qualifying residents of Prince George's County. Nearly 47% of the households we serve are residents of the city of Bowie, highlighting the importance of this service in this local community. This past year has been one of our busiest we've experienced since COVID, especially during the final quarter. We had over 6,000 client visits, 382 new clients, of which 129 of those new clients were just from October, November, and December. These numbers do not reflect the families and individuals that we helped during the government shutdown. In 2025, our pantry distributed over $700,000 worth of food to families and individuals in need, and remarkably, about 80% of that was physically donated, demonstrating the strength of community partnerships that support our mission. Our pantry also provides additional support services beyond food distribution. We offer financial assistance for mortgage, rental, and utility payments to qualifying clients through an application process. In partnership with the Bowie Senior Center Transportation Department, we prepare grocery bags for seniors that have no means of transportation. The Senior Center rotates between individual residents and senior facilities. We also partner with local community garden volunteers. The Bowie Crofton Garden Club provides fresh produce for our clients. The city provides access to garden space at the Ken Hill Center, which is conveniently located near our building. These garden plots have produced over $11,000 worth of food this past season. In October, we partnered with the city to host a pop-up distribution event to support residents impacted by the government shutdown, and also with the changes of SNAP benefits. We distributed over $3,000 worth of food to 50 families. I would like to turn it over to our board president, Mark Wallace, for closing remarks.
Thank you, Michaeline. So on behalf of the board of directors, I want to thank the city council and for its continued awareness of food insecurity in our community and recognizing the role that organizations like ours play in addressing it. We're made up of 2 part-time employees and 85 active volunteers. Some of them are here tonight. Would you like to say they range from ages teenage to 90. We're skewing a little bit on the aged side tonight. Our volunteers continue to be the backbone of our community, of our organization, and they contribute more than 500 volunteer hours each month. Typically, we're only open for business 26 hours each month, but our volunteers work many critical non-business hours behind the scenes, storing inventory in the Ken Hill Center main building, where we have a couple of rooms to support our daily operation. We've been operating out of the trailer at the Ken Hill Center for about 13 years, and since COVID, we have had a drive-through distribution model, and we've continued to use it since then because it's so efficient and it's been essential to meeting the increased demand that Michaeline just talked about that we had last year. We deliver food to our clients in the parking lot, allowing clients to remain in their vehicles while the volunteers load the groceries directly into the clients' trunks. That is a very efficient operation. It preserves dignity while being discreet, and it's particularly helpful for our senior population. They don't have to walk into the trailer and walk out. And on some distribution days, we serve as many as almost 70 clients in that 2-hour period that we're open. The space in the parking lot is also expansive enough for us to receive the many donations that we get in a safe and efficient manner. And we're very proud of what this organization has done, our volunteers and our community, and all that has been accomplished in this last year. the support of the city that has been offered has been a major part of our success. And we thank everyone involved at the city and here at the council who's assisted in our mission to address food insecurity in our community. Numbers that were shared here tonight represent more than just statistics, as they reflect neighbors helping neighbors. They reflect volunteers giving their time, and a community that works together to ensure that families and individuals have access to basic food necessities. So as we move into the coming year, we intend to remain committed to being a stable source of food access that the community can depend on. So thank you again for your time this evening and for your continued support. And we invite each of you to come for a tour of the pantry to see firsthand how our operation operates. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. And a special thank you to all the volunteers that are here this evening. You are really doing yeoman's work. I've seen that operation, and every time I go there, I am duly impressed. And the people who receive the benefits of your labor are very appreciative as well. And there's also a whole cadre of volunteers who donate their food on a regular basis, some on a regular basis and some just on an ad hoc. So, continue that. If you're watching at home, please remember the food bank is this, I think, is probably a low period kind of after the holidays, before spring, and people tend to forget about these sorts of things. So thank you both very much appreciate your end of year report. Thank you. Next on our list of speakers is Mr. John Henry from Pond Meadow Lane. Good evening, sir, and welcome.
Good evening, members of the council. As stated, I'm John Henry. Some of you know me. I'm here again advocating for the city to do an after-action report to determine where opportunities were missed and city residents shortchanged during the recent snow event. Furthermore, I suggest that public hearings be held for residents to state their concerns. There should be at least 2 meetings, one during the day for those who are uncomfortable venturing out at night, and another one later in the day for those who work. Both of these should be announced via the City of Bowie alert format. At a previous council meeting, former Mayor Adams spoke about receiving calls from residents during the snowstorm, and then he would call Mr. Lott. Is that how snow removal now works? You call the mayor and he calls Mr. Lott? I don't think that's a good model. While acknowledging there were issues, Mayor Adams initiated a call to thank workers for their efforts in cleaning the snow. Frankly, all that was missing was a mission accomplished banner on the building, and perhaps one on the county building as well. You can Google that if you're young. In a private conversation with Mr. Lott prior to the city council meeting, he asked where I lived and remarked that Pond Meadow Lane doesn't go anywhere. He's wrong. It goes to doctor's appointments that had to be canceled or rescheduled, to the pharmacy for critical medications, to radiation or chemotherapy appointments, to the grocery store, and many other locations. Don't all citizens of Bowie live on roads that take them to these places? Don't they deserve to move about their locations as much as any other resident of Bowie? Mr. Lott commented that the after-action report should occur later, perhaps beginning in March. The further away from the event, the less participation they're likely to garner. A snowstorm in January being discussed in April will elicit less participation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And for those who are keeping track, the snow removal is on our new business agenda for this evening. It's now item A, so that's be a beginning of a discussion on that. Next on the list, Mr. Brian Hubbard of Appleton Court.
Item A. Hello, Council. Thanks
Good evening.
for having me. So, as I stated, again, my name is Brian Hubbard. I'm a Bowie City resident. I've been here for about 16 years. 8 of those I've been teaching our young folks at the Boys and Girls Club, from basketball to football, and that's been very exciting. Recently, I worked with Miss Carrie Bridges over at South Bowie, and we implemented a podcasting class, teaching young folks how to create their own radio station, how to set up the equipment, things like that. It was ages from about 10 to 12, and they had a great time. It's very exciting. While I was teaching that, I was actually coaching at South Bowie. I'm sorry, at the Bulldogs. And I've been constantly reaching out to both of the Boys and Girls Club organization. My background is a network engineer. I've been in the IT field for about 35 years. That's my professional background. My personal background is multimedia, so music production, video production, and all those things. And so one of my goals is to bring technology to our young people. Because that's what I work with on a consistent basis. And so I reached out to the folks over at the Bulldogs and let them know what my intent was to try to bring some of this technology to the young folks. And just to make a long story short, at the end of that conversation, I was told that I couldn't even attend a board meeting for our Boys and Girls Club while I was currently coaching the young folks at that organization. So I decided to start my own organization. But before I left, last spring, the Boys and Girls Club played for the championship in PG County. There were 2 teams from the Boys and Girls Club that played for that championship. One of them was my team, and one of them was my good friend, his name is Cam. Both of us were at Bowie Boys and Girls Club. When I decided to start my own organization, everyone from my team came over with me. That same coach that won that championship, he beat me, by the way, he came over as well. So one of the things that while I was at the Boys and Girls Club, my concern was the leadership. My concern was a lot of my parents would come to me and let me know that, hey, we registered for this league and the gym fees is this amount, or the school costs this amount. Where's the rest of the fees are going to? It's a question I couldn't answer because I'm coaching. Don't have those answers. And that was one of my response or requests, to be able to go to the board meeting for the Boys and Girls Club. Not only me, some of my kids wanted to go with me. Some of my parents wanted to go with me. But again, we were rejected, which again leads me to being here tonight. I've been working with Mr. Mike Lonergan and Mr. Edward McLean over at Bowie City Gym, and they've been great. I've since launched another podcasting class that's being hosted from Bowie City Gym. And part of that is speaking to the business owners here in Bowie, the residents here in Bowie, the team in Bowie, and again, teaching those young folks in my organization how to run these multimedia programs. I built my own platform, so all of our basketball games, our highlights, the registration, everything is done through our platform. And when I reached back to Bowie, the Boys and Girls Club, not to ruffle any feathers, but they're using basic templates for their technology. And they're using other third parties to do registration, to do videos, to do all of these things. I built a platform to encompass all of those things. My kids now can go look at our highlights. We do film training, everything from our web platform. So I'm thankful to be in this arena and have the knowledge to be able to do that, and now start teaching our young folks. But that has been a concern because of our Boys and Girls Club, and this has been an issue that's been plaguing us. So I moved forward to Bowie City Gym. I have a lot of folks that's behind me, a lot of very smart, brilliant individuals that's willing to help me with this process. When I go to the Bowie City Gym, I'm told that, hey, you know, we can't do this, we can't do tournaments, we can't host our own leagues because the Bowie Boys and Girls Club have this time.
Pardon me for interrupting. Your time is up, but I'd like to further the conversation. Can you share your contact information with the city clerk?
Absolutely.
And I'll reach out to you.
Okay. Understood.
Thank you kindly. Very much appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
And thanks for all your work that you do with our kids. And next on our agenda, our list of speakers is Mr. Scott Vinning of Trinity Drive. Welcome, sir. It's always a pleasure to see you here.
Good evening. Thank you. My apologies. I didn't realize that was the next one. I thought there was one more before me. First of all, I would like to applaud the gentleman that was number 2 on the list about the snow removal comments. I endorse him wholeheartedly on his experience and what life has been like with regard to everything. Without going into the details of everything, I have here, and I should have been more diligent on this, but I have here the application that I had submitted for a waiver for the sidewalks. And you're all welcome to this copy because it is a copy. I have the original at the house. After having applied for this and not getting any comments back from anybody within the city of Bowie code compliance like I did last year on or about the 15th, 11th and 15th, somewhere around there, I called them up and I said, you know, I haven't heard from you yet. Where are we on this matter? Have I been approved, not approved? Where do I stand on this? The young lady that answered the phone said, you have been approved. It's gone up to the director of the department. You've already been waived, no problem, you're all good. Following that, within the last, I'll say, week, whatever it is, 5 days, 7 days, somewhere around there, I get this blessing in the mail from the city of Bowie, which is my neglect on my part, and it was a notification saying that I'm going to get fined if I don't get my sidewalks cleared off by said date and time. And I'm like, wait a minute, if you all have already waived me, why am I receiving this notification? You know, a waiver is just that, you know, because of medical reasons and everything else, you know, medical history and everything. Not everybody is a full-blown 20-year-old who's totally ambulatory and everything. You know, I'm pushing 64 and I've had my own health concerns, as I'm sure others in this room have. And I've reached out to others accordingly, and that's pretty much where I can say, you know, this just doesn't compute with me. That having been said, the other subject that I would like to touch on was back on the 17th of January, which was the last time that I was in here in this forum accordingly. I had said something and made some reference, and Mr. Wolfley, the pro tem mayor, had said something about the fact that they were working on cameras because of the racing and the speeding out there on the roadways and everything. I can come up with a good number of about 36 or 26 times that I have it written down here on my phone where I sat there and accounted for every single time that I recorded something and it happened as late as 2 a.m. and as early as 5 a.m. And it's like, when is this gonna cease and desist? You know, there's just no reason for it. You know, people shouldn't be woken up in the middle of the night trying to get some sleep. And, you know, not everybody has to get up at dark under. And I don't know what else to say about it, but I don't know where to take this because this is the only forum that I have, and I get the acknowledgements from you all, but it's like, okay, where are we gonna take this from here? It's still continuing.
Excellent, thank you. I apologize that we're not in a position that we can have
I know.
a back
I
and
know.
forth. And for those watching and then those who are here present, the meeting protocol is such that when we have people who have public comments, we're not in a position to have an ongoing discussion and a dialogue because of meeting management rules. And so I just want to make sure that people are aware of that. I know I have your information, and I'll follow up with you as soon as I can, probably sometime later this week, and we'll chat a little further on it.
Sounds good.
Excellent. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. All right, that concludes our public speaking our list as submitted this evening. So thank you all for being here and participating. And next on the agenda is a presentation, specifically swearing in of new police officers. This is always one of the happiest days in the community. Well, I want to thank everybody for being here, like all the representatives of the police force. This is indicative of the importance to the community that the police has here in Bowie. We really are appreciative of the good works and efforts that our police officers do for our community. We're very much appreciative of your commitment to the city and being here this evening. We look forward to many years of exceptional service, such as we've gotten from our existing police officers as well. So I want to thank you in advance for many years of service that we're expecting from you guys. So thank you. I will provide a little bit of background information for folks on who we have here with us this evening. We have police officer Zaida Amado, who joined the Bowie Police Department on November 17, 2025. After serving as a student officer with the Frederick City Police Academy in 2023, she became a police officer with Chevy Chase Village. So welcome. Police Officer Solomon Morgenstern was brought into our department on October 20, 2025, an operations manager and a combat medic in the U.S. Army for over 20 years. He joined the Metropolitan Police Department as a police officer patrolling the nation's capital. Thank you very much and welcome. And then we have Police Officer Tyrell Knight. He was hired on March 24, 2025 and attended the Police Academy shortly thereafter, graduating on October 24 the same year. For over 2 years prior to joining Bowie, Officer Knight was a special police officer. Welcome to it. All right, we will proceed with the swearing in. Please raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name, do swear
I, Solomon Morgenstern, do swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
to the state of Maryland and support the Constitution and the laws thereof,
and that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment,
and that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of police officer of the City of Bowie Police Department
execute the office of the police officer of the City of Bowie
according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Should we do a group photograph? Yes, sir. Dennis, you want to hobble around, or you want to?
If you give me a minute, I'll
Yeah,
catch
go
up.
ahead.
You guys, Morgan Stern. Y'all should somebody see you. She coming, she coming. Perfect. Right there, right there. So, if you want the council members behind them, that's fine, and have all PD down here. Does that make sense? Yeah. Sir, if you want all council members up there and PD down here, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please. LT.
So you know what, let me go ahead and move this off the agenda for we be here all night. Quick. Okay. Okay. Is that-
Thank you.
bet. She was afraid to go wheeling off
Thank you. You said this is now pragmatic.
yes, because Roxy, I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry, it's DG, okay.
That's what I was
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, you're right, yep. Right it is, okay.
threw a curveball.
Yep, no, yep, nope, absolutely.
Okay. Now we're on the same wavelength.
All right, let us proceed here. Again, thank you very much to our police officers. We are grateful for the service to the community, and it is actually one of the things that differentiates us from so many other communities, the strong police force and the security they provide. So we're very much appreciative when we see new talent coming on board. As everybody knows, it's a tough challenge, and we have instructed our police department to add people wherever they can while maintaining standards. So we're always looking for new employees, and if there's anybody out there wish to be a police officer, please consider working right here in the city of Bowie. It's a great place to work, live as well. All right, this evening's agenda continues with city boards and committees. I don't believe we have anything. Is that correct, Ms. Hernandez? Thank you. Council announcements. Do we have any council announcements this evening? Mr. Truesdale.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Good evening, everyone in Bowie, the city of Bowie. Just want to just kind of give brief announcements in honor of Black History Month. And the senior community, rather, had put on a great program all month. And thank you, Betty Demps, and the senior community at the Bowie City Senior Place. And then just want to give acknowledgments and may rest in power to the Reverend Jesse Jackson. His legacy and tireless as a champion justice for equality has really blessed us all and gave us and continue to give us pride in who we are. And so I just want to make those short announcements. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
And in fact, I think a moment of silence is in order in recognition of his passing and all the contributions that he made to this great country.
Thank you.
May he rest in peace. Thank you. Anybody else with council announcements? Ms. Ndebamadu?
Thank you so much, Acting Mayor Wolfley. Good evening, everyone in City Hall, and good evening to the most amazing District 4. I do have one announcement. On February 4th, I had the pleasure of joining Senator Watson to testify on State Bill Vehicle Laws, electronic dealer licenses on behalf of the city of Bowie. The synopsis of the bill is increasing from 4 to 5 the number of dealer licenses available for certain manufacturers or distributors that deal only in electronic or non-fossil fuel burning vehicles, and providing that one of the licenses may be used only for operation of a dealership in the city of Bowie. What this bill will do is bring a service center for the likes of organizations like Rivian, Tesla, and bring high-paying service jobs to the city of Bowie. Senator Watson had the opportunity to present in front of the Judiciary Committee chaired by State Senator William Smith, and I had the opportunity to join our lobbyists in testifying on that bill to ensure that the city of Bowie is allocated the 5th dealer license in the state of Maryland, because there is a cap currently to 4. And what that will do is bring a service center that brings up to 100 jobs. It will bring about almost around north of $15,000 in additional tax revenue, and then also some of the other incentives from the economic development activity that will come from having such an establishment in our city. It was very well received, and we are hopeful that our Senate as well as our House will join us in advocating to pass that bill for the city of Bowie. Thank you so much, Acting Mayor Wolfley. That concludes my announcement.
Thank you, Councilwoman Adebamadu. Anybody else, any comments?
I'll just
Councilmember Esteve?
I'll just chime in to thank Councilmember Bumadu for that work. I know this has been a long time coming, trying to get a new type of vehicle retailer in the city, and I just really appreciate your doggedness.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rogers, any input?
No, I'll say the same. I'll ditto Councilman Esteve. I think that just the whole idea behind getting e-vehicle presence here in Bowie area, and specifically in Bowie, is major kudos. So thank you, Councilwoman. You've done an outstanding job with that. And I really can say that everything I've heard, you've been, like Michael said, dogging this. So thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rogers. Great, Dennis. Okay. All right, thank you. I will close things out with just one quick announcement for folks. I think everybody's familiar with the fact that our mayor has resigned and is now our county councilman. That means the mayoral spot is vacant. Today, we opened up the process for the quick turnaround, if you will, for electing a replacement. So if you are a candidate or interested in being a candidate, you need to get in touch with the city clerk's office and be aware that there's some paperwork to fill out, and then you too can run for mayor. City Clerk, a quick question for you. The closing date for submissions?
March 6th.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So make sure that everybody is aware of that timeline. And the vote will be, the election will be on the
Tuesday, April 7th.
Tuesday, April 7th. All right, there we have it. So everybody keep that in mind. I will now turn over the floor to the city manager's report for this evening. Assistant City Manager, Mr. Mears.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. This evening, with a full agenda, I will refrain from a report, but we'll have lots of updates from our departments about what we got going on this evening.
Excellent. Thank you very much. You read the room well. All right. Next on the agenda is the city manager's report. Completed is the consent agenda. Is there a motion for the consent agenda approval?
Second.
The motion's been moved by Mr. Brady and properly seconded by Mr. Esteve. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Moving right along to old business. Well, actually, the first order here is to congratulate Mr. Mears, who will be the acting city manager when we lose our current city manager. So thank you very much as part of that. Thank you. Old business, adoption of ordinance 0-2-26, amending Bowie City Code, Chapter 6 elections. I will turn this over to staff for introduction conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Wolfley. For the record, my name is Owalda Hernandez. I'm the city clerk for the city. So in summary of Ordinance 0226, the purpose of this ordinance is to update the city code, Chapter 6, which deals with our elections. This is to align with the charter changes that were adopted by council through Charter Amendment Resolution CAR-3-25 in January of this year. Together, these actions modernize the Bowie's election framework and ensures that the city's governing documents accurately reflect current practices and legal requirements ahead of future municipal elections. The Board of Elections, along with our city attorney and the city clerk's office, conducted a comprehensive review of the election provisions and identified outdated or unclear language in the city code, inconsistencies between the charter and the code, areas where actual election practices were not fully reflected in the laws, and created opportunities to modernize and clarify election procedures before the 2027 municipal election cycle. So again, Charter Amendment CAR 325 amended the charter, and this ordinance 0226 completes the process by updating the city code to match the charter changes. The ordinance, again, will align the code with the charter, which and ensures consistency between both of them. It's removing outdated or duplicative language. It's clarifying the roles and responsibilities and procedures related to the city elections. It is also going to update provisions to reflect current operational practices, including the election administration responsibilities between the Board of Elections and the city clerk's office. It's also going to update terminology and procedures used in the recent election cycles, and is hopefully going to give a clearer guidance for conducting the municipal elections. It also is going to clarify a couple of the processes for voter registration, candidacy, and election operations. It's going to reduce ambiguity that could cause confusion for the candidates, voters, or the election officials. So overall, the ordinance, along with the charter amendment, hopefully is going to modernize the Bowie's election laws, ensure that the documents reflect real-world practices, improve clarity, consistency, and legal compliance, and hopefully strengthen the preparation for future municipal elections. That's
Excellent. Thank you very much, Madam City Clerk. This ordinance is before us today, and it requires a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing. Madam City Clerk, is there anybody signed up to speak on this evening?
We do not have anyone signed up to speak, and no comments were received via email.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So that will close the public hearing on this matter. So thank you. And this is eligible for action this evening. Before we move to that, though, I would like to open up the conversations here for my colleagues, people with thoughts, questions, inquiries, and the like. Anybody on the council have a thought? All right. Councilman Stev.
I need Councilmember Rogers to return so I don't feel like I'm on an island. We miss you, Councilmember. Just want to thank staff. I went through in detail looking for something particularly juicy, and this really is just updating exceedingly dated language. I know that portions of our code haven't been touched since like the 70s. I know we've been working on this kind of thing for a while. So I just appreciate it. A lot of these sections read much more clearly. I'm not seeing any significant substantive changes to any processes. Is there anything I might be missing as far as process changes? Because everything that I've seen so far is like language clarity and just making sure that like we're using terminology that's not 50 years old.
Process-wise, the only major change is just modernize a lot more of the forms. We are going to be opening more to submittal of electronic documents.
You mean people won't have to come to City Hall between the hours of 8:30 and 4:30 to drop off paperwork in 2026?
For certain things, yes, but not
We're making
all of
progress.
it. The initial filing for candidates, we're still, the board's still recommending that it is done in person,
Okay.
because it gives us a chance to have that person-to-person interaction and be able to explain to the candidates exactly how the process is and what their requirements are and deadlines. But after that, there are like campaign finance reports and things like that. The applications for absentee ballots and those things could be done electronically. That's really one of the only major changes. Other than that, procedure-wise, it is staying the same.
Thank you, and appreciate the team that worked on it.
Thank you, Mr. Estev. Councilman Brady?
Thank you, Mayor, right? Acting Mayor?
Yeah.
Good. I agree. Staff has done a really good job with this, and you're to be commended. One thing you didn't mention that this changes is the fact that you're taking all the forms out of there rather than have them in this document. You reference the forms that will be generated by your office. So I think that is helpful also. It cleans it up quite a bit. I do have a couple of items in section, where is that? I guess it's paragraph 6-75, where it talks about the electronic submission. There is some confusion with how it is worded, because if you read it, and I talked to staff with this also, the way it is written right now, it allows corrected reports to be submitted electronically. It allows your final report to be filed electronically, but all of the monthly reports, it's not clear, it's not allowed to be done electronically. And I've got a couple of, although it is and it isn't, because there's wording in this section, in subparagraph 1 there, in the middle, where it says the treasurer to whom a document is returned shall have 48 hours to correct the document and resubmit it. The next sentence should be struck. It says the return of the document by the board and the resubmittal of the document may be done electronically. So that sentence I would suggest to be stricken. And then you go to 2, where it talks about successful candidates. It says in the middle of that section, it says all submissions and corrections may be done electronically. Now, that one should be stricken too, because if you go down to, where is it? If you go down to paragraph 6-76, form of report of expenditures and contributions, it states that the reports required by this article shall be filed on a form devised and distributed by the city clerk without alteration. These reports and any amendments thereto may be submitted to the city clerk electronically. So that statement there covers the 2 cases that subparagraph 1 and 2 discuss. So those 2 sentences I would move to strike from this ordinance. You understand what you seem confused. You're already on.
To strike it entirely from the ordinance,
Right.
or to reintroduce it at the earlier section in the monthly reports?
I don't understand your question.
If you strike it, that means we're not able to do the electronic?
No. In the one section where it talks about corrected treasurer's reports, there's a statement about allowing it electronically. Yes. And then the next paragraph that talks about the final report talks about submitting it electronically. Those 2 sentences should be stricken, because the very next paragraph says all reports can be done electronically. Okay. So those gotcha. 2 sentences are superfluous in the context of the overriding direction of paragraph 6-76. So I'm just cleaning up the language a little bit.
Okay.
So, and then, well, I think we've already covered it. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And anybody else? Councilwoman Abamadu?
Thank you so much, Acting Mayor Wolfley. I have one question for Ms. Hernandez. City Clerk Hernandez, can you clarify the section about write-in candidates and help me understand if there are any major changes that are being made to the section for write-in candidates?
So the board is proposing to remove write-in candidates from the ballot. That is one of their recommendations. It really, their reason for it really is that yes, there are good names that come on there, but a lot of the names that we have seen throughout the years are just like Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy, and it's just sort of, it's not serious names that have been put. We do take into consideration the real names that are put on there, and we do look at it, and we do keep track of tally the votes that might have come in for those names. But for the most part, it is just fictitious names that people have sometimes put on there. And then it's just one extra step for the board to have to look and track of the numbers and all of that. Some municipalities have started removing that unless it's really has made a change in their elections previously. But for larger municipalities, the write-ins have not really made any impact onto the elections, and a lot of them have removed it from their code. So the board is just, that's their recommendation, is to just remove the write-ins from it.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hernandez. That's a helpful description. I would like to add in for consideration with my colleagues that we strike that change. I do believe that I can understand the modernization efforts that we are thinking through and that the board is recommending. However, what I'm trying to balance is modernization versus power architecture, because at the end of the day, write-in candidates presents an opportunity to preserve the democratic process. And so I would like to recommend to my colleagues that we remove that language and we still allow write-in candidates and figure out if there's a different way to be able to modernize that section, because I'm mindful of the constraint, but I'm also mindful of the democratic process as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilwoman Rogers?
No, I don't. I think that that is a good suggestion. The councilwoman just proposed. I agree with Councilman Brady's changes as well. I just don't know how to do it in an effective or an efficient way that allows my major thing about all of this is around technology and how we should be utilizing technology at every step of the process, except for that filing where you want the person to come in and have that conversation. But that's the only comments that I would have. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rogers. Oh, one moment here. All right, Councilwoman Ndebamadu.
Thank you so much, Acting Mayor Wolfley. My question is back to Ms. Hernandez, or as well as my colleagues. If we are to not make a decision and finalize this evening, would you need more time to think through how to accomplish the modernization that would be helpful for the process, but still at the same time try to think through a way to preserve the write-in candidates aspect of this? Is that something that staff would need more time on, or is that something that you need us to make a decision on?
I think because it's a general statement that's in the code right now about the write-ins, I guess we could probably look at it, or council could adopt it with leaving the write-in, and then we could go back to the board and review it with them, and then bring back just that section to council
when we get to closure on it, let me address maybe the best way to bring it all, tie it up in a knot. Councilman Esteve?
Yeah, so just to chime in on this real quick, I understand where Councilmember Ndebamadu is coming from. Write-in candidates, the function of a write-in typically is if you're trying to make ballot access easier for people who couldn't overcome the significant hurdles of ballot access, right? You have some jurisdictions where you have partisan elections, closed primaries. They make it very hard for independent or unaffiliated candidates to run. You might need to get 10,000 petition signatures to just get ballot access. And so in some jurisdictions, write-ins make sense because it's simply giving people a choice. And we have like some United States senators and some weird systems that have gotten elected through write-ins. In Bowie, we don't have partisan elections. Ballot access is show up to City Hall at least 1 month before the election, pay $25, fill out the same form as everyone else. You have until like I think 2 weeks before the election to drop out or like change your filing. And over the years, Bowie has had elections where we've had upwards of 30 candidates running for 7 spots. In my view, ballot access is not a challenge in Bowie. I think we make it easier than most other jurisdictions. So personally, I don't particularly think we need the write-in. I have nothing if we decide, nothing against it if we decide to keep it. My only question is from a practice point of view. Does having the write-in or eliminating the write-in save us a lot of efficiency when we're tabulating votes? Because I know that write-ins are, a unique line that, election officials have to look through and process. So, I mean, does the board or do staff have any sense of what process-wise election result tabulation might look like without the write-ins?
To be honest, it's probably going to be, I don't have a straight answer for it from now on, just because we are going to be using a new equipment for this election and in 2027, so I'm not sure. We are going to the paper ballot and scanners. I would need to follow up with the vendor and just see how it reads written names. Before, with the machines that we had, people were able to just write the name on the little receipt. Some of the names were hard to really make out when people handwrite them. So I don't know if that's an issue with the scanners. Like I said, I would need to speak with the vendor and see how that would be, because I don't have an honest response right now.
Understood. That's all I have, and I appreciate the discussion. I think the city clerk had a suggestion about maybe revisiting this later. I suspect, so I'm good on mine.
And
Thank you,
Councilmember Truesdale, do you have a comment? Or?
Thank you, Acting Mayor Wolfley. I'm mixed up here.
That's all right. I play one on TV.
Yeah. Pro tip. I definitely agree with Council and Dumaru in terms of making the language affordable, communicatable, and clear. That's all I have.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. I have a couple of comments. Unless there's any follow-ups here, I have some comments I'll share, and then I'll try and wrap it up in a bow and see if we can't move it along. So the first thing is, and I think Ms. Hernandez and I had a quick conversation on this beforehand. There is Section 6-30A is the recall provision. Presently, that recall position requirement is 25%. We did a number of years ago have a recall effort, and it proved to be quite onerous, an effort to get 25%, and it was pretty limiting on the people who were pursuing that. It's my feeling the city's gotten larger, and if my colleagues agree, that we ought to reduce that to 15%, so that the required signature count is 15% of total voters, because the total number of voters is just getting bigger and bigger every year. And we can, after I'm done, we'll kind of have a little discussion on it and see what the temperature in the room is on that. The subsequent comment is on 6-75A1. There's a section that says last preceding election. I believe that should be last preceding report, because it's referring to what should be in the report. So I think we'll take a look at that language there. The next one, I have a question to pose to our city attorney for some consideration. There is under section 6-75B a section this section addresses unpaid debts and in essence converts them to contributions at the end of the cycle for reporting. If those debts have not been paid, they are to be considered contributions, and they are subject to the contribution limits of the campaign. So if the campaign contribution limit is $1,000, I could be in a position where I spend $2,000 with a mail vendor who is not particularly good at sending me invoices, and his intransigence or sloppy bookkeeping or follow-up could put me in a situation where he doesn't send me the invoice in time, and it gets converted to a contribution, and his failure to send an invoice turns into my infraction for having a, quote, donation contribution that's greater than the allowable limit. And I'm a little concerned that we have that kind of language that puts that risk on a candidate that's for something that's beyond their control. Can you speak to that, or would you like to think about it? Because in the end, well, go ahead. Why don't we see what your thoughts are this evening?
I don't have many,
Uh-huh.
but I will say that is existing language in the code. So it's really not an issue that had been brought to our attention by the election board as something to change, or by staff. So I have to say, I didn't really focus on that, but I will take a look at that and give you some substantive comments.
Excellent,
in
thank you.
response.
Excellent, thank you. See, that's a benefit of having actual candidates look at someone who's been through the process, and it's all a different perspective. The lawyer doesn't mind, the people in counting ballots don't mind, but the candidates might be up against a wall there. Take a look at that, and then we'll make adjustments as necessary. Then also in that section C, initial report, the words there are initial report, it should be or prior. It should be initial report or prior report. Otherwise, you're requesting that everybody resubmit everything for their each monthly report for all prior activities. And I think we're just looking for a monthly. I think that is it. And now I want to turn back to my colleagues on this issue, see if anybody has any concerns on the 15% on the recall. Any thoughts, concerns? Please.
Thank you so much, Acting Mayor Wolfley. I guess I'm trying to understand the rationale. Your statement was, as the city has grown, it has become harder. So I guess in my mind, it appears that if the city is growing and the percentage is at 25, then wouldn't it become easier because I'm just trying to understand that main rationale, and if there's another rationale behind it. And it seems like I haven't received any constituent feedback from District 4 on this particular issue in on this topic. And so I'm just trying to understand the rationale behind it, what the actual benefit would be, because it seems like it has been successful in the past. So if it has been successful in the past, that indeed means that it is attainable and it is possible. So I'm trying to understand the rationale as to why we would reduce it, to just understand.
Sure, absolutely. So this code, this is original language. It's been around for quite some time. I dare say the city was probably, let's call it for even numbers, say 20,000 people in the city, and probably maybe call it 20,000, doesn't matter if it's 20 or 30,000 residents. If in a given district, or if you wanted to recall somebody from at large or the mayor, you would be obliged to come up with 25% of those registered voters, 20,000. You'd be obliged to find 5,000 people who wish to execute the recall. Now, with 60,000, you're talking a significantly greater number of signatures that you have to get a recall in place. So you have to have 25%. So now you're at 15,000 signatures that must be obtained. And this is just a factor of the number of people we have in the community. So it makes it significantly more difficult It's not based on the number of people who voted, but it's instead based on the total number of people who are registered to vote. So this is, to be sure, you did mention the fact that this has happened in the past. The initial effort for a recall actually failed. There was an attempt made to recall, I think, 3 elected members. They failed because of the inability to get the numbers needed, and then they all went bad. In essence, it was my predecessors who sat in the seat here. They focused on one candidate only, and it was really a race because there's a 30-day window, which is actually something else that I want to talk about as well. So it is very, very tough hurdle, and particularly in today's growing city environments and the number of people. I think it provides an opportunity for holding the elected officials accountable, putting the power of the vote right back in the hands of the electorate. So that's kind of the logic behind it.
Thank you.
Acting Mayor?
One moment, I'll get to you 1 second.
Okay,
Thank you so much, Acting Mayor Wolfley and Councilmember Rogers. Just give me 1 second. I completely understand the rationale. That makes a lot of sense. Here's my point. I believe this gets very tricky. I think we have election processes that pretty much are straight and straightforward. And when residents have a choice to be able to elect those and who they would like to hold office, they make their decision very clear. I understand the concept of accountability and the measure already exists, but my concern here is that this increases political volatility, this incentivizes organized opposition campaigns, this encourages constant campaign mode where we as a council don't govern in that way, and it disincentivizes those who constituents have elected to make constant decisions that they have been elected to make. And so I understand the effort, I understand the act. I do believe that 25% is already a low threshold. So I'm really here to try to make sure that we preserve continuity and that we are focused on governing, and that this doesn't become an environment for minority voices to try to encourage political volatility or volatility in governance making. So I appreciate the conversation and the rationale behind that, but that's my stance. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I would point out that the volatility is pretty limited in terms of, we're now 4 years. When this was actually originally conceived was 2-year terms, but certainly understand your points, and I think that the past has proven that there are times when we may undertake actions that are not in the interest of our constituents, and that they have an interest in making that known. Other comments? I'm sorry. Yes, Councilwoman Rogers. Thank you.
Now I know how it feels to be off on an island by yourself. So my point is that the number is relative. So the 25% is relative to the size of the organization, the fit of the community. So therefore, if we are larger, the 25% is still appropriate and still applicable, because it doesn't change the 25% in any community. We know that if there's 60,000 people in the city of Bowie, be it 15% or 25%, it's all relative to the size of the community. I do believe when you make the threshold too low, then things will happen like I believe that happened in a municipality here in Prince George's County. It becomes too convenient. Now, when we look at the size of Bowie, I think one thing that we will discuss down the road is the districting, because of where all the new developments are going up and how that impacts the numbers of people within certain districts. But I think that when we talk about a percentage, that percentage is relative to the size of the community. And I don't think that by us growing bigger, from 30 to almost 60, it would make that big, I mean, it's just relative, that's all. That's my comment, but thank you.
All right, thank
you
you.
for thinking of it, but thank you.
Councilman Estef?
All right, I want to do two things. I want to comment on the threshold, and then I want to add a new curveball to all this, so that we're all really getting along by the end of the night. I totally understand where Acting Mayor Wolfley's coming from, and as well as my colleagues. The typical municipal voter turnout. So in a typical city election, right, around the country, you get less than 10% turnout. That's pretty normal. In Bowie, we get somewhere between like 9, I think our highest was like 14, 15%. So I understand from the perspective of, we moved from 2-year to 4-year terms. We said we had this recall provision as a way of holding us accountable in that long, period in between. Moving from 25% to 15% seems like a lot, but as I'm doing the math on the back of the napkin, you're still talking about having to get, for example, if you wanted to recall a mayor citywide, you would still have to get what? With 15%, 59,000 voters, let's say 60,000, you still have to get
8,000.
like 8,000 signatures citywide. In 30 days. I don't know if y'all have knocked on doors before, but getting 8,000 people to sign a piece of paper in 30 days, pretty hard. I'm sure the Latter-day Saints have tried, and I don't think they've succeeded either. So moving that number lower, I don't think would have a significant impact. We would really have to infuriate people to an extraordinary degree for anyone to be able to get the energy out there to even meet that threshold. So I'm not particularly concerned about this introducing tons of political volatility. I just kind of knowing the dynamics of how these things work, I just think it'd still be a pretty high threshold and wouldn't result in constant special elections. So that's my thought on that. I'm happy to introduce a new thought in a moment, if we want to continue. And it has to do with the subjects of the district boundaries. So our code does call for doing a periodic review from time to time of our district boundaries. I think our current 1, 2, 3, 4 layout makes a lot of sense, but if you look at the map, we've had explosive growth in some places, like 4, like 2, and other districts just haven't grown as much. I also think from a simplicity perspective, and maybe I'm just OCD, I always thought it would make more sense to have the districts be a little bit more even, so districts 3 and 4 share a lot of weird west of Church Road boundaries. Yeah. Why not just have it cut off at Mitchellville Road and make it easy? On the 3-4 side, why not have it just cut off at US 50 from the 2 to 3 side? There's a lot of weird mixing of neighborhoods that just, for me, are not super intuitive. But my colleagues may have other ideas. And thank you for indulging me.
Thank you. Councilman Brady?
I've got a whole long laundry list to address. I'll go backwards, starting with the most recent one. With regards to boundaries, part of the issue there is trying to keep subdivisions together so that it kind of works against straight lines and, let's just divide the city up like a pie. Well, unfortunately, it's not a pie, it's rather elongated. But it's always a challenge, and with the GIS and with the mapping, I think staff has done a really good job, although it does look a little strange at times. I agree with that. Going backwards with regards to the 15 or 25%, the recall provision came about 22 years ago. Before that, we didn't have it. And that was a case where we had a newly elected official shortly after that ended up being found guilty of spousal abuse and spending 3 to 6 months in jail as a council member. And at the time, we had no ability to remove him, so that's where the recall came from. And at that time, I just did a quick Google. According to Google, which we rely on all the time, right? and at the time that was adopted, the population of the city was 54,000.
Okay.
According to Google, the population of the city is 58.5 now.
I think both of those. The 58 may be correct. It's probably up a touch, but it was 54 was definitely not. We've grown a whole bunch since 20 years. So, Dr. Google, I think, has the wrong prescription here.
Okay, according to the budget, what is the current population, Mr. Acting City Manager?
We'll have to research that number because there's lots of different sources that you can pull from.
Okay.
So it's,
Well,
the estimated number is a little higher than that.
So, but the numbers really aren't, in a relative sense, they're not that significant. The concern that I would have in dropping it is the fact that you stand the possibility of having what would become frivolous challenges, frivolous recalls, which would be disruptive to the whole process. And the thing with the fact that there was an attempt and the window was too tight, I think that's more an issue that stopped them in those 3 attempts to recall somebody. Because what they did was they reprogrammed their effort and concentrated on one district. So they were able to then do that in 30 days. I think 30 days is the issue, rather than the fact they needed 25% of the signatures. So it's a problem with regards to that. So, and then the issue with regards to, Ms. Endominato, you were talking about
The write-in.
the right, thank you. That's what happens when you try and remember all these things. With regards to the write-in, I'm kind of, old-fashioned, and I like technology, I like new things and what have you, but I think there's a value when it comes to the voter and the citizen, giving them that ability. In all likelihood, write-ins don't work. The only way you can have a successful write-in is if you really have a very successful organization and process and volunteers to do it. But if you have that, why not be a candidate? So to me, I think leave the write-in and look at it. I think the staff said we're going to be using new equipment now that would scan, I guess, kind of like the county did. So it'd be interesting, maybe use this mayoral election to see how the write-in function works, and then come back and address that in the future. And actually, with the several changes we've got here, maybe we should table it to the next meeting and get all those researched and wording prepared to address our issues. So,
Okay, thank you. Councilman Truesdale?
Thank you, Acting Mayor. As it regards to the provision, the recall provision at 25%, I think that is respectable. In regards to, we have come a long way in the past 20 years. At the same time, we have a lot of educated voters. The percentage of our voting in comparison to the population is at a big gap, in terms of how many people that comes out to vote. And I really trust that our voters are educating themselves even more as our population grow and as our city grow. We will be even more just as even council members and elected officials more just coherent in terms of understanding the importance of being an elected candidate or elected official. For the most part, I do agree with my colleagues, Mike and Stev, in terms of the district balance. That is something that we really should look into and how we are growing as a city. So in regards to the recall provision, the 25% is where I stand. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. I'll try and wrap this up. I do want to ask one question for our city clerk. I believe we have a plan for district sizes and reshaping that will be forthcoming. What's the timing on that?
Yes, so that's what I was going to bring up. The next plan for the board in my office is to work on redistricting the districts, just because
Absolutely.
District 4 has grown so much with South Lake. District 3 is also growing with Mill Branch. And then District 2, we have Melford. So those numbers are not balanced. So after this, that is going to be our focus before the next election, is to hopefully redistrict and balance out the 4
Excellent.
districts with those numbers. And then also, in hearing your comments about the 30 days for the recall.
Oh, yes.
City Attorney clarified something for me. I'll have her read it. In the charter amendment, we did remove that.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, Karen, I don't have it in front of me, if she could read it to you. Proposed.
So sure, in the recent charter amendment resolution, you had removed the entire section 32A recall provision. So that language referencing the 30 days no longer exists. We looked at that, and it was kind of oddly written, because it kind of says that they would file a petition and then other people had 30 days to come in and sign it, and that really isn't how these petitions for referendum work, or recall. We looked at how other jurisdictions do it, and so we said in the charter that the provisions for recall will be as provided in the code. So when you go to what we're looking at now in the code, you'll notice that 30 days is no longer there. We retained the 25%, and then we provided for the special election to take place not less than 60 nor more than 90 days after the certification of the petition. But to be clear, the petition, when filed, must meet the threshold of the 25% if you stick with that.
Excellent. Thank you very much for the clarification. All right, so with all this in mind, I think I have picked up on a general consensus of the council that there is a preference for continuing with write-in voting. I believe everybody is either indifferent or supportive. There you go. Either indifferent or supportive of that. So I think if we could ask staff to go back, reincorporate the language, revisit that language, see if that language needs to be modified, since it wasn't reviewed with that in mind, it will probably need to be updated in as much as the rest of the code was updated as well. So if that could be done. And then I think the comments that we provided earlier, I think the rest of them were pretty much just text clarifications and changes, and I think you have sufficient information for that, correct? I don't think there's any ambiguity on that. And then we will proceed with the rest of it as is, and bring it back for the next at our next council session for everybody to So we'll bring it around to the next meeting for another discussion at that point, if everybody here is good and comfortable with that. And I think it addresses everybody's concerns and wishes, or those who don't object one way or the other. It addresses nothing but raises no objection either. All right, thank you very much. So we
Acting
will
Mayor,
table.
Just one quick question. So the recall part of it, are we wanting to
We'll
leave it
leave-
at 25%?
We'll leave it
or-
at 25% right now, because I'm not feeling that I have a whole heck of a lot of support on that. We'll see if anything changes in the next 2 weeks or so, but so far, it is what it is, right?
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Let's see, thank you very much, City Clerk, and actually extend our gratitude to all those who worked on this. I know it's no small effort, and it's a meaningful part of our elections, and ensuring that everybody feels comfortable with the rules, and having them modernized and consistent is important. So thank you.
I will pass it on to the board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so now we are moving on to new business. And this is adoption of Resolution R30-26, adopting the Housing Community Development Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, commonly referred to as CAPER, for fiscal year 2025, HUD fiscal year 24. This is a public hearing, and it's eligible for action, so we will begin with staff, and then we'll move to public hearing, and then we'll have discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening, we have George Jones representing the Grants Office to give us an overview of the CAPER.
All right, good evening, Mayor and council members. Again, I'm George Jones, Grants Manager, and I'm here tonight to present to you the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report for HUD fiscal year 2024. This report is for year 2 of our 5-year approved plan, which is required by the Department of Housing and Urban Development Community Development Block Program. The report identifies our expenditures and program accomplishments for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. The designated CDBG project areas for 2024 cover the Single-Family Housing Rehabilitation Program, Fair Housing Training, Workforce Development Training, CDBG funded activities for these projects meet the national objective of providing benefits to low and moderate income persons. The annual action plan for fiscal year 2024 identifies specific goals and objectives to meet the local priority needs during the fiscal year. As in previous years, the Grants Office has assisted in housing and community development activities such as homebuyer assistance, workforce training and development, homeowner displacement, fair housing administration, housing rehabilitation, and work with our community partners on various other initiatives like response to homeless services and related assistance depending on residents' needs. For fiscal year 2024, the HUD CDBG grant funding was $197,279. The Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, or CAPER, outlines the statutory requirements that were achieved in the program activities that have taken place during the fiscal year. For this fiscal year, the Single-Family Housing Rehab Program, which one of the programs we ran, which was for low-mod income homeowners, 13 applicants were awarded grants of $15,000 and 13 projects were completed. We also did fair housing training, and during the month of April, actually on April 30th, 2025, the city hosted an in-person fair housing event on fair housing laws, rights, organizations that can assist with fair housing violations, with a focus on regional history of fair housing and the current state of housing in Prince George's County. The presentation was conducted by Manuel Ochoa of the Ochoa Urban Collective. We also had workforce development as one of our programs. The program was divided into 2 areas, one STEM and the other innovation and entrepreneurship. Various seminars were held during the months of June and July, and in total, 22 youth and 31 adults attended at least one seminar during that 2-month period. We also did emergency housing and homeless assistance. During the fiscal year, the Grants Office distributed over $26,500 in emergency assistance to homeless persons and others with financial needs. The Grants Office worked with our community partners in this effort, as well as directly with those in need. Having satisfactorily completed the requirements inclusive of public hearings, advertising, community outreach, we ask that you approve resolution R3026, the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report for fiscal year 2024, so it can be submitted to HUD for their review and approval.
Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate staff report on that. We will now move for a public hearing. Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody signed up?
No, Mayor, we do not have anyone signed up and no comments were received.
Excellent. So a public hearing has been opened and is now closed. So we are eligible for action. We will now move to discussion with the council. Any of my colleagues have any questions, thoughts, or comments? I'm sorry, please, Mr. Brady.
Thank you. Just a quick question of staff to ask you to kind of look into your glass ball and look to the future and everything, do you have any sense of what might be expected in the coming year or two with regards to what's going on to the west of us as far as funding and stability of the program and things like that? Or is the sense that you have right now that everything is kind of copacetic and moving forward nicely?
Yeah, like the block grant is a 5-year program, 5-year allocation or entitlement. So we're just finishing up year 2. We're working in year 3. So we've been sort of allocated this for the 5-year period. So that will give us another, this year being, we're working as year 3 and then 2 additional. That would get us to 5.
Okay.
But the funding obviously can change any given year. So we don't know until, we file our annual action plan what that amount is going to be. And, it's hard to say, with this environment, what that, but so far, everything's been, showing favorable as far as going forward.
Well, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rogers?
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I do want to give major kudos to Mr. Jones and to Director Buggs on what they do in their organization. I had the opportunity to sit in on, what was it, the community? It was, I think it was like a community town hall where the CAPER report was discussed. And it was me and one other person that was on the call, but Mr. Jones did an outstanding job. I think that residents really need to be aware of what we do with our grants programs and how we support of the resources that you were able to get for them. Really appreciate what you do as well. So thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rogers. Councilwoman Adebomato?
Thank you so much, Acting Mayor Wolfley. I just want to really echo Councilmember Rogers' comments. Remarkable job from this department. You guys do such incredible work, and I'm really excited to hear about the turnout in terms of those classes that you had around entrepreneurship and technology advancement. As you know, that's a really, really big part of the county and the state's broader economic development plans. And I just want to share, in 2024, the Maryland General Assembly had passed HB 306. And what HB 306 did was establish an independent innovation working group for Prince George's County. And through this independent innovation group, some of the recommendations and the strategic priorities that were laid out for the county as well as the state talk about, sustaining and expanding focuses on industry clusters, advancing accelerator-like activities, which is similar to some of the classes that you are providing, and also issuing more programs and strengthening support for tech and tech-enabled businesses. And so I just want to thank you for being in alignment with the broader state economic development strategy as well as our county's economic development strategy, because it's really awesome to see that we provide this. And so thank you so much for your work.
Thank you, Councilwoman. All right, bearing no other comments here, questions or thoughts, I will open the floor up for a motion. Is there a motion on the floor regarding this resolution?
So moved.
The adoption of Resolution R30-26, adopting the Housing and Community Development Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, has been made by Councilman Esteve, seconded by Councilman Brady. All of those, is there any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor, please with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, unanimous. Thank you very much. Mr. Jones, thank you for the good work you and your offices continue to do on behalf of the city. Thank you very much. All right, next item on the agenda is something near and dear to the hearts of everybody in the city, and something that has drawn a lot of attention in the last several weeks, and that's the January 2026 snow removal effort. So I put this on the agenda for a reason, principally to get the dialogue going, conversation here, have the opportunity for City Council. We had folks here earlier this evening that spoke with their concerns, constituents that spoke here this evening. And I wanted to open up the conversation here amongst my colleagues. We're expecting that staff will be engaged in an after-action effort on this, so that we have kind of a full assessment of what happened and what we can do to improve our efforts. I'll start off my comments with saying that this is an odd situation where we find ourselves as a very frustrating position where staff did a great job, but yet the results aren't in keeping with what we're accustomed to. And I think that is in large part because this is a very large storm, and it had unique features to it, specifically the ice sleet that came in late in the storm, forming a crust that was difficult. I know for a while we had about a 4-hour window of shutdown on service because our trucks were sliding all over the place, and so that introduced some problems. That having been said, we're keen to maintain our high standards and feel that there's probably some opportunities here for improvements. Last week on Wednesday, I went downtown Washington at the Metro building headquarters and met with the Washington Metropolitan Area Council of Governments. And this is an issue that is sensitive to everybody in this region. And we heard from a lot of the municipalities or the regional governments about the problems that they were having. And frankly, a lot of them reflect the same sort of problems we had. There was a dearth of contractors available throughout the region. What I learned is that in the past, Washington, the city of Washington, has been able to rely on contractors that have come in from actually as far as New England and the Midwest. They will bring a convoy of trucks and equipment down to Washington in some of these big snowstorms to help clear the streets. They're not just plowing; they actually have to remove snow. A very difficult situation for folks in that arena, and they've been able to improve their performance with these contractors. However, they have their own obligations, and this storm in particular went all the way across, from the Southwest all the way up to New England, and we were right in the middle of it. Nobody was offering the city of Washington assistance with their efforts. We have our own contractors, and we can certainly expect to look at how that went. And there were just a lot of challenges. But I do know that part of the reason why we have people who are upset, understandably, and frustrated is because we have such high standards ourselves. Typically, we expect clearance within 12 hours or so, 10 to 12 hours. And frankly, if you're in the 10th hour or the 12th hour, it typically doesn't make that much difference. But if you're in the second day versus the fourth day, that's a big difference. So people felt this differently, and so I think that we need to take a serious look at it. There is no doubt that there will be financial implications for, as they say, suiting up enough equipment and people to address this sort of challenge in the future, but that's something that will have to come as part of the after-action assessment. So anyway, I want to turn over just briefly to staff to kind of give a few highlights of what we did experience, just to remind some folks when storm came, first roads were cleared, number 1s and 2s, and then from there, I'll lead into comments that we may have received as council members, and anything we particularly have an interest in staff looking into on our behalf as they move forward with this after-action report. So I will begin by turning it over to staff.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to begin, a storm like this has implications throughout our city government. Virtually all of our departments and lots of our personnel are involved with this. So when you asked for an update on this, I asked our Emergency Management Director, Lee Cornwell, to provide us a little overview. So he is here to give you some information about the storm that we experienced.
Excellent, thank you.
Good evening, Acting Mayor Wolfley and Council. I'm here tonight to give you a broad overview of the city's response to the winter storm of January 24th and 25th. It is an overview. As with any event where we activate our Emergency Operations Center, any large-scale event, our office always does an after-action report, and we have started that process already by doing a hot wash of all of our departments that were responsible for or had any part to do with the response to this storm. We held that on Wednesday, February the 4th. It's very important that we get information while it's still fresh on people's minds. We did that. It was very constructive. We got a lot of information during that hot wash. What we do now, we follow the Homeland Security event evaluation process, and that is a very comprehensive process. What we do now is we've gathered all the information. Now we have to go back and vet that information, make sure that that information is accurate and just not an opinion, if you know what I mean. So we're in that process now, and out of that we will develop an after-action report along with an improvement plan. The after-action report will identify exactly what happened. It will identify the strengths of the city, what went well, and areas of improvement. And out of that, we will develop an improvement plan, which will assign appropriate departments and staff with each element within that plan to come up with a resolution. And they will be given appropriate time to do that, and that will be followed to completion. So we expect the after-action plan to be completed by mid-March and be ready for your review about that time. So let me get into exactly, like I say, a broad overview. So we started, when I say we, the Office of Emergency Management, we started hearing chatter in the weather chat rooms starting around Friday the 16th about something major could be produced from an Arctic storm being pushed down into the Midwest, picking up moisture maybe from the Gulf and the lower states, and then heading east our way. We started actively monitoring this storm on Monday, January 19th. And we started daily conference calls with the National Weather Service and the Maryland Department of Emergency Management on Wednesday, January the 21st. As you may know, storm predictions have very low confidence, anything further out than 72 hours. So for this storm, the National Weather Service was not giving any predictions on how much snow we would get, if any, at that point, when it would start or any of that. We just started hearing about it could happen. So 72 hours out would be Thursday. We did start getting some early predictions of amounts of snow. So the Office of Emergency Management, we conducted our first winter storm coordination and planning meeting on Thursday with all the department directors and all the key stakeholders and key decision makers for the response of this storm. We conducted a second and final storm coordination and planning meeting on Saturday, just before the storm, about 3 o'clock. At that time, we also put into effect the snow emergency plan at 3 o'clock on Saturday. That was to help our Department of Public Works with plowing operations by getting cars off the street. That was fairly successful. We did that by getting the message out over Alert Bowie and all of our social media platforms. Our code enforcement also went out to put pamphlets on folks' windshields to let them know to get their cars off the streets. That was a fairly successful operation. So at 10 p.m. on Saturday evening, the Emergency Operations Center was activated. Our primary objectives and priorities for this winter storm response was to ensure the health and safety of emergency responders, staff, and the public during the event. Support snow and ice removal operations to ensure roadways are passable. I emphasize passable. Support snow and ice removal operations to maintain access to city facilities, maintain situational awareness, and finally, provide for the timely and accurate release of important instructions and information to the public and the city staff during the event. So, the National Weather Service issued a winter storm warning on Friday for Bowie and Prince George's County. Snow started heavy at times just before midnight, Saturday the 24th. Snow continued sometimes at a rate of up to 3 inches per hour, which is very heavy, and reduces the visibility down to just about nothing. Snow continued until around 8 a.m. Sunday morning, when the snow started to mix with sleet and freezing rain, and continued until 9:30 that evening. Okay. Temperatures during this time were as low as 15 degrees with wind speeds up to 14 miles an hour, which took the wind chills below zero, which was in the dangerous zone. Total snow accumulations, according to the National Weather Service for Bowie, was 11 inches of snow, 2 inches of freezing rain. Now, that doesn't mean there was 2 inches of ice on top of that snow. When the rain and sleet came, it soaked down into that snow, and as everybody here knows, it wasn't 2 inches of ice on top of that snow, it was 4 or 5 inches of snow, ice on top of that snow, once it soaked into that snow. So, around 10 o'clock that evening, DPW was ready to go, and as soon as the snow started, they were well prepared to start their operations. A little scope of the operations here: the city maintains 1,102 city streets. That's 193 miles of maintained streets. We also had to account for snow removal at 18 critical city sites, including the Public Works Complex here at City Hall, Ken Hill Center, and the Senior Center, because we opened up a warming center. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Our DPW used approximately 2,000 tons of ice. And let me talk a little bit about that. One of the challenges with using the salt was any temperature below 20 degrees, it's little effect from the snow, from the salt on ice. As you know, the temperatures did not get above freezing until around Wednesday, when the sun came out and we were able to see a little bit of melting that occurred. So the salt was of little benefit other than maybe being able to get a little bit of traction on top of that ice. So the extreme cold and icing significantly reduced that melting effectiveness. Now, in the emergency management world, we call this a complex incident. That's when more than one element is involved to an emergency. In this case, we had snow, we had ice, and we had freezing temperatures and below zero wind chills. So that's 3 elements of this incident that made this an extremely difficult storm. A storm that we don't see too often here in Bowie. So, yeah, people will ask, well, what's our capability and response thresholds? Well, Winter operations here in Bowie, we're generally able to manage a 4 to 6 inch snowstorm over a 24-hour period. Okay, so this storm, we got 11 inches with 2 inches of freezing rain on top of that. So a little bit out of our norm, okay? Our normal performance goal is that routes and streets are passable in the city within 8 to 10 hours after a snowfall ends. For this storm, a more realistic target was way out, beyond that 8 to 10 hours after the snowfall ends. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Excuse me. So contractors were contacted and they reported on time on the 24th, Saturday, around 8 p.m. Crews were ready. They were loaded up with salt and ready to deploy. At 4 a.m. On, I guess, Sunday morning, they began plowing operations on priority 1s and priority 2 routes. Priority 1s and 2s are our main routes and our connector routes within the city. At 5 to 9 p.m. On the 25th, crews took a dinner break and a much-needed rest, and then continued back to continuous operations. On the 26th, again, crews paused at between 4 and 8 a.m., again, because as was previously mentioned, trucks started sliding due to the ice, due to breakdowns and their inability to penetrate that compacted ice and snow. Later that morning, they got back out on the roads, started applying salt to the ice. The sun did come out a little bit, and they were able to make a little bit of progress. So the 27th through the 29th, there was full-scale operations resumed. The sun did come out a little bit, temperatures did rise a little bit, and by the 29th, that's Thursday the 29th at 4:30, all streets in the city were at least passable. Okay, so Friday and Saturday, DPW continued their operations of widening those passable lanes in the city and started cleaning up the snow that were in crosswalks and the large mountains of snow that we saw at some intersections within the city. So going back to the Emergency Operations Center, we staffed the Emergency Operations Center with 6 people, 6 to 8 people, depending on the operational period. At nighttime, we went down to 6 people. During the day, when it was busier, we were up to 8 personnel in there. And what we do in there is just coordinate all the resources. We do contingency planning in the EOC. Our PIO is in the EOC, and we coordinate messaging to the public and to the staff. We do situational reporting every 4 hours, and we did a total of 15 situational reports. Those situational reports go to all the department heads, all the key decision makers that had anything to do with this response. It went to the Prince George's County Office of Emergency Management, and it also went to the State of Maryland Office of Emergency Management and their EOC also. So regular situational reports were going out, and we were kept everybody informed. 3 p.m. every day, we did a status report with all departments reporting in on their progress, any needed resources that they had or unmet needs, and again, more coordination and public information were going out after those meetings. During those meetings, decisions such as city operations were discussed, what departments and buildings would be open, which ones would be closed, which ones would be delayed. Those kinds of decisions are made during those status meetings daily. So again, challenges we encountered, ice and extreme cold, reduced salt effectiveness. We had equipment breakdowns, truck sliding, creating additional delays. Some of our equipment that, especially in District 4, they had to go a long ways to go back to get salt, or go back to get fuel, or go back to get repairs done. You know, you can expect at least an hour turnaround in those areas. It's not quick. So the average work week for the storm response from DPW was 111 hours per employee that week. I'll repeat that, 111 hours on average per employee that week. Luckily, we only had 2 minor incidents involving parked vehicles. There were a few slip and fall injuries that were reported. They are being investigated now to make sure that they were storm related. So that will be in our after action report at a later time also. That's it, and that is all that we have to offer you at this point. Again, I will say that a lot more critical information, more detailed information will be included in the after-action reports, which will come out sometime in mid-March. And we'll be back again to offer that information. So I'm here to answer any questions, if I can, that you may have.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your update. And I want to point out that you're speaking on behalf of not just yourself, but a broad swath of the city government that was engaged in this. So they sent you forth. I hope they gave you adequate protection and bulletproof vests and that sort of thing. And
Yeah,
at least their appreciation.
I will sneak one good thing that's going to come out of the after-action report, and that's the collaboration that this city does when we have events like this. Every department gets together. No one works in a silo. It's a collaborative effort. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has a say at the table when it's time to do the planning part. And that part was just amazing during this event.
Indeed it was, and thank you, because I know when I called in a number of times to the emergency center, it was on full display. So thank you very much to you and to the rest of the crew that are working so hard. I'll now turn over to my council colleagues and see if anybody has any thoughts, concerns, anything that they would like to ensure is addressed as part of this review. All right, we'll start down on this end. Mr. Esteve.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor. Lee, I appreciate the report and the update, and I hope that Public Works and you and your team understands that our questions are a result of residents who are on the ground experiencing things that are not a reflection of any particular disappointment on our part. Just want to be clear about that. Because I have absolutely no life, I listened in on the public hearings that Montgomery County, Howard County, and Prince George's County all had on the storms, and I was struck by how eerily similar the conversations were. Some general themes that were raised in all those meetings, where this was an unusual storm and that the forecast changed suddenly at the last minute. We are not a regular seasonal snow economy. It's not like Connecticut, where every other guy with a truck is a part-time seasonal plower. We just don't have that. And because so many jurisdictions were impacted simultaneously across such a band of the country, as you indicated earlier, where we would normally reach out as far as several other states away for help, there was no one available. Everyone was calling for assistance at the same time. So those points, I think, are all heard and understood. For the sake of just being on the same page, do you mind repeating for us, when we have these snow emergencies, what rough proportion of the workers responding to it are regular city employees versus contractors that we bring in specifically for the storm?
Oh, yeah, sure. I have that listed here somewhere. Okay, yeah. For city equipment, we had 33 pieces of equipment out there, and that's all kinds of equipment, trucks, backhoes, front-end loaders. Contractors had 25 pieces of equipment out there. So altogether, we had, 58 pieces of equipment.
And the actual workforce itself, where are we drawing these workers from? Are these guys who are otherwise doing trash pickup, or how does that work?
So duty, snow operation duty is mostly shared by two divisions. One's a streets division, the other one is the utilities. Those are the divisions have most CDL drivers, and also we provide the training well before snow season about how to operate safely snow plows before even snow season begins. So they are well-trained staff for the event.
Gotcha. And so is this roughly 30?
And just, we also use personnel and staff from our Parks and Grounds, and they are responsible for clearing sidewalks and parking lots at our city facilities. So that's another additional staff that's out there doing it too.
Roger that. So streets, utilities, parks, and grounds. And there's roughly 33 of these employees. You're using 33 pieces of equipment or some kind of similar number, I'm assuming?
So those equipments mentioned by Lee is only the ones employed by, utilized by the Public Works. Parks and Grounds, they have additional equipment utilized during the event.
Gotcha. I'm just trying to get a
Parks
sense
and
of how
Grounds, there's an
many-
additional 30 FTEs associated with that type of cleanup.
Okay, so 30 FTEs, Parks and Ground, and then how many FTEs total typically do we have responding to the storm? Just trying to get a sense of proportion.
For Public Works, about 25 to 30 staff
Okay.
utilized.
So about 55 staff total. Okay, great. For our contractors, when do we tend to hire those contractors? Is this something that we do like a year in advance, or is this something we're calling folks up a week before the storm? How does that tend to work?
So it's similar to snowplow training. We contact them well in advance, and we even offered a retention bonus because events like this, they are a rare commodity. Everyone's fighting for contractors. And one of the edges we provide, we actually talk to the contractors and why choose City of Bowie over other municipalities or private sectors? Because, well, thanks to Finance Department and the city leadership that we pay them fast. So that was our edge to retain a lot of our contractors compared to neighboring municipalities.
Gotcha.
Councilman.
And Dr. On, Mr. Spurgeon, thanks for joining in, sorry. So Dr. On, are we hiring contractors like a week in advance or like 6 months in advance? Like what's the rough time frame?
So it's not an annual contract, but we send out the invitations well before the winter season, and it's we compile all the contractors signed up for the when the opportunity arise or for the snow event.
Gotcha. So before the winter season starts, we're reaching out to contractors for snow removal specifically well in advance. Sorry.
I would like to add, I sign all those contracts for the snow plows. They typically come when there's threat of snow in the forecast. This is not something we put out for long in advance, but people aren't signing up in October to be contractors for us. They tend to arrive when there is a forecast for it. We sign contracts for snow plows the day of the storm.
Oh, wow. So we're signing the day of. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is there any industry logic or possibility of signing contracts early? Or is this just the complete industry? I was horrified during the pandemic to learn about how like the trucking industry works on like an hour-to-hour basis practically. Is that just the expectation?
We would love and welcome to sign up the contractors well in advance of that. So everyone that is listening out there now, our sign-up procedures are available on our website. Contact our Public Works Department. We'll sign you up in July. We'd be glad to.
Gotcha. So this is the supply side challenge of the industry right now. This is the expectation. Understood. And I can understand why they might not sign contracts for their equipment months in advance of a hypothetical storm. Okay. So in general, I think my question is, having experienced this storm and knowing that, being in the Mid-Atlantic and dealing with kind of the world as it is, there's a level of unpredictability to the weather that we tend to face in this region. Is there any logic whatsoever in revisiting the amount and type of equipment that we have available in-house for these situations?
We're going to mention that in the upcoming after-action report and improvement plan. We're still checking on a lot of things now and doing a lot of cost-benefit analysis that go into that when it comes to making recommendations in that improvement plan. As Acting Mayor Wolfe said, there's going to be some costs associated with some of these improvement plan items. So I don't want to get into what those things are going to be now, but we will be doing cost benefit analysis. If we're only going to have this type of storm once in 10 years, you would think that it wouldn't be beneficial to get a bunch of additional equipment that you're not going to use, just in case. It'll all go into that cost benefit, and we'll give you that report.
I would like to say, even before we knew this storm was coming, in our budget preparations, Dr. Ahn had put in a couple of requests in his budget that was going to be enhancing our readiness for the upcoming fiscal year. So you can expect to see a couple of things that are new in the budget requests that come to you in April.
That's great to hear, and I really appreciate the sensibility and the thought. Just a couple quick one-off things. This is largely based on resident thoughts and feedbacks and experiences we had. One thing that could help, I know the city's been doing some communications ahead of these storms about what is resident responsibility, HOA responsibility, like condo and apartment responsibility, and city responsibility. We're a big town, we're low density, we're spread out. A lot of our HOAs, I don't know about you all, lost their bylaws 10 years ago. They don't know what they're responsible for, and when these events don't occur regularly, it often leads to a lot of confusion. One thing that I would just ask you to take into consideration in your report, I really want to hear more about just your ideas on what we can be doing to communicate more frequently and more immediately to those four kind of distinct groups, because to make sure that people have a very clear understanding of what the rules are. I know that's often challenging, especially with some of our HOA communities, but just getting the word out, that if there's any doubt, please contact us. And maybe that needs to be a citywide message, because we often don't know who the HOA presidents are. So hey, if you're in a community and you're not sure about where to go, here's the website, where we explained here, here's the point of contact. We'll walk through it with you, in advance of this winter.
Some of those things were mentioned, and you'll see them again in the plan. I mean, a lot of people don't even know they don't live in the city, so that was an issue too. So those types of things will be addressed in the after-action report.
Yeah, you'll be shocked to know that interest in annexation always skyrockets right around the first or second snowstorm, and then dies immediately in the summer when tax season comes. One regular problem that we had in this particular one was county response. So there were a few sections of road. I know in my area, Racetrack, parts of Hillmead. I know heads are nodding because y'all got the calls too. One thing that I would like for you to just contemplate and tell us what's realistic and what the trade-offs are. There's certain sections of road like Racetrack where I'm not kidding. Like we looked at like just going out there with a shovel ourselves and doing it. We actually did go out there and just kind of test it early one morning when the road wasn't busy, and we were like, nah, we'd kill ourselves trying to remove this ourselves. But just trying to figure out, what the plan is for if there's specific areas where the county, and probably not the state, but the county has specifically just struggled to get there. What can we do in those instances? How can we coordinate with the county? I know that they reached out to us on several occasions asking us to help them in other areas. But that's just something I would appreciate your contemplating and judging by the head nod.
Yeah,
it
just
sounds
as a
like what's happening.
sidebar, I do know Prince George's County requested from the state 500 additional snow plowing trucks. Of course, they didn't get them, but they requested them.
Yep, that sounds about right. Okay. The one other just quick, I got a couple more and they'll be real fast, and I appreciate everyone's patience. Expectations for sidewalk maintenance, there was a lot of confusion about this one. I got a lot of city communications, just the regular resident channels that made it, that to me seemed pretty clear about when we would have to clear our sidewalks. Just to request more of that. We had a lot of folks who were really concerned. Somehow they just missed the call, missed the text. Just make sure that we're really calling and texting. And then I know there was a lot of requests put out for our Neighbors Helping Neighbors program to help out folks who were kind of trapped. I was shocked in my neighborhood. I never see kids going out. We saw a lot of kids going out this year, which was kind of cool. But just more communication around that would be helpful. Mr. Vining raised a point earlier this evening about the waiver for folks who may not be physically able to take care of their sidewalks. I think the question specifically is related to, is it possible to get one waiver and then it's just kind of automatic going forward? Is there a reason for the annual waiver? I'm not saying you have to have an answer to that now, but just curious if we can contemplate that. I know that residents often don't realize, we often don't actually track the real estate. So, when a person is moved, or passed away, we often don't know for a little while. There's a bit of a lag. So, that's often a challenge when we're trying to have up-to-date year-to-year, requests like that. But I'd be interested just if you guys have any thoughts down the road. Talked about the county, talked about sidewalks. Oh, one other thing. A lot of residents don't actually know who to call when they're in one of those cul-de-sacs or one of the smaller streets that just don't get touched for the first 48 to 72 hours, depending on the severity of the storm. Over the years, I've had people calling saying, look, I got chemo in 2 days, or I've got, this emergency, or I've got a medical emergency now. I think just reminding people of what to do in those situations. My understanding is residents absolutely are welcome to call 911 in those situations, and they will find a way to get to you no matter what's going on. That's my understanding. Maybe we can confirm that understanding and also communicate with that to residents during these storms, just so they're aware. Okay. And then finally, this comes up every single storm, whether there's 2 inches of snow or 80 inches of snow. Every year, of course, we get complaints about, well, I just finished digging out my car and the snowplow just came by and now I've got 8 feet of snow back on my front driveway. I think just maybe doing some information or communication to residents about how the plows actually work. I sat down with a NASA engineer a few weeks ago because he had questions about this, and I asked him to draw me a diagram of what would actually be needed to make it work. And then doing the math on his own, he realized that we would need to quadruple the amount of staff we have out there, and then decided that was not where he wanted his tax money to go. But that kind of information, just communicating to residents the basics, this is how plowing works. There's no real alchemy to it, I think would help. People would at least feel like we're listening to that particular complaint. I hate digging out every time it comes by. But in many instances, we're just limited trying to get to 193 miles of street. We can't drive into every driveway and carefully move the snow everywhere. And so just reminding folks about kind of how that works would be really helpful. That's everything that I had. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate your being out here. I did not hear any of the other jurisdictions say that their workers were putting in 111 hours a week on average. That seems exceptionally high, and I think we need to think about a way of really recognizing those workers very soon. Notwithstanding concerns and frustrations residents had in this kind of storm, that is truly exceptional. And that's one of the things about Bowie that I really appreciate. Our teams so often go above and beyond without seeking any special recognition. So I think that really does deserve quite a lot of plaudits from the whole community and all of us.
And they do it without complaint.
That is the part that I find most impressive. Thank you, Mr. Cornwell, Dr. Ahn, and Mr. Spurgeon.
Thank you, Councilman Esteve. Councilwoman Rogers.
Thank you, Acting Manager. First of all, I just want to extend my sincere appreciation for all the work that Public Works did, Lee and the EOC team, that every time I called in, no matter what time of day or night, they were there. When I called or emailed Dr. Ahn, or when I talked with the city manager a lot, I got a reaction and a response. I did not realize how popular snowstorms were until last year, my first city snowstorm, and I learned the hard way, trial by fire. So this year I was a little better prepared. But first, I just want to thank the employees for going out in the freezing temperature to try to do almost the impossible. And so I sincerely appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. I found out about the drop in temperature and the ineffectiveness of the snow from a relative in Delaware who is responsible for this stuff for the state. I traveled to New Jersey, I traveled to Delaware, and I traveled to Baltimore County, and I saw the conditions of their streets and their parking lots, neighborhoods, commercial, it didn't matter. It was bad for everybody. This was a critical storm, I think as Lee mentioned, with the ice and the snow, but I don't think anybody was prepared for the impact. The ice just melted from my driveway, I guess yesterday when it rained, because I was out of town. So I just want to thank you for that. Now, I did want to just make mention, I believe that, and I may be wrong, so I'll need somebody to correct me, that Milford, Mill Branch, and South Lake, their streets have not been turned over to the city yet. So therefore, we did not have to do anything in those areas, or was that not a true statement?
That's true.
That is true. Okay, so what that means is that when those streets are turned over, then we definitely have to look at bringing in a comparable number of pieces of equipment. And then this time, I mean, we had bulldozers out there. I mean, that's just how hard the ice was. We weren't even talking about the plow. So that's something we'll need to prepare for. One thing that I probably will give feedback to you for your after action report is the priority levels, because I understand the need for priorities 1, 2, and 3, and 4. I understand that completely. I guess it's the amount of times that you come through 1, 2, 3, and 4. Particularly 1 and 2, the number of passes through 1 and 2 before you get to 3 and 4 may be something that you can reconsider. And I'll give you more detail on that. I heard you say the furthest away from the salt and sand is District 4. Was that correct? I wrote that down.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so maybe that's something whereby we look for some, because the city is getting wider, it's bigger, and maybe there's something we can do as far as an alternative site for salt and sand, so it's not as far. But I will say, as we talk through this, and when we do our after action report, this will have a budget impact. I mean, if we want to get what we really want, which means that, you know, folks have that 24-hour window where everything is cleared and they can basically get out of their communities, then there's a cost to it. The other piece I'll mention is, because the city the county did reach out to me when they were trying to get more plows for the county. It's something to think about. I know it may be, you know, other types of issues in place, you know, that I'm not aware of. But it seems as if there should be some type of agreement with the county for roads such as Mitchellville or Mount Oak before you cross Church Road that impact the Bowie community. I'm thinking maybe there's some opportunity for a memorandum of agreement where we support, because what was happening was they were able to get out of their communities, but then when they got to Mount Oak, when they got to Mitchellville, and oh my God, 197, I had more complaints about going from Benjamin Tasker to 301 took them like an hour because they were losing lanes. So I'm not going to the state roads, but I feel like the roads that are running through the community, maybe there's something about an agreement we can put in place for that. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else to say, except again, extreme kudos for everybody who did everything. One other thing I'll mention in regard to your emergency operations center. So I'm very familiar with the concept because I had to do it while I worked operations in the federal government. One thing we did do was have a certain time, and you did it, but you did it for staff. It was a certain time staff could come in and get updates on what was going on, and you guys could talk about it. And I know you don't want the policymakers confusing your operations, don't get me wrong, but it might not be a bad idea to allow the council some opportunity to kind of listen and get a little bit more transparency around what's going on so that we can tell the story clearer to our constituents. Now, one other thing Councilman Esteve said around the communications, I think you all did an outstanding job. And every time someone came to me, I referred them to the website or, signing up for Alert Bowie. But people will not, they're really not interested in it, until it impacts them, and then it becomes a problem. So I guess it's a matter of trying to find some creative other ways to get those messages out and continuously get it out. I guess, through, and I know Alert Bowie does it, but we as council members probably need to do that as well when we talk to our constituents in any type of public forum, just to remind them of those things that we try to share and educate on, because I got a lot of calls about, Fairwood, down in Fairwood off Church Road. I got a lot of calls from HOAs. I got calls about city and state roads. So you've heard it all. I thank you all for just your hard work and your dedication, because it's not easy, and it takes a toll on your body in the freezing cold trying to break up ice and get to snow. So again, thank you, and thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor, for the opportunity to make my comments.
Excellent. Thank you, Councilwoman Rogers. Councilman Truesdale.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor. Appreciate it. Not to belong to Tom, just want to thank city staff. Thank you, Lee, for this overview. The EOC team, very, very transparent. This is something you can't predict. I think we have this probably every 7 to 10 years of this magnitude. And, it's one thing of having trucks and having the tools to move this snow, but it's another thing to have a place to move the snow to when you have this ice and everything else. And I know that the city, Washington, they had used different drop-off spaces like RFK parking lot and areas of that nature. And maybe, and I'm definitely looking forward to being a part of the after-action report to help in terms of budgeting some of our resources and our collaborations with perhaps the Baysox Stadium as a model in terms of moving some of this the snow that has been moved out of the neighborhoods into some of these places besides Mitchellville Road and 197 and 301. A lot of that snow was there because it's like, where do you move it to? So I do want to follow up in terms of us educating or having the conversation with the HOAs, with the walkways. Not only that, but the ice and the snow that are on cars in neighborhoods that's leaving out of the neighborhoods. That is a term I learned this year called snow creek. Okay, like concrete, the size and altitude of the ice that was built on some of these cars was causing major accidents, and that is something that again you can't foresee, but it happens. So thank you so much for just keeping us updated, staying at the helm. By day 3, I was just appreciative and grateful to be indoors. Okay, to be indoors. I don't know about y'all, but to be indoors in terms of, you know, some of our communities that's not as fortunate, to whereas we can have some call centers and have shelter havens to ensure that they are secure and warm. And so thanks again, and I look forward to following up on the after action report. Thank you.
Councilman Truzio, I just have one comment that I wanted to make in regards to your comments. One of the things that the city of Bowie does not do is we do not have any hauling operations in regards to snow. We haul 0% of the snow. We are just moving it out of our transportation pathways, and we're hoping to melt it. To contemplate a hauling operation is well beyond the scale of anything the city of Bowie would ever be able to do.
So on some of the roads, like Governor Bridge Road, where it's county and city, how do we manage roads like that?
We're pushing the snow to the side.
Okay.
That's the activity that we have.
Okay. Is there a possibility, I mean, there's always a possibility of collaborations, if we have the state or we have the county asking for trucks, you know, in terms of us reacting and, you know, how we can work together on some things, I would hope that would be some possibility.
We can take a look at that. I don't want you to have your hopes up in that regard.
All right. I'm very optimistic, though.
All right.
Thank you.
Councilman Brady. Do you have a?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Let me start off by commending staff on a near Herculean task that you had, and I think you performed well. I think Mother Nature just had a better hand and dealt a set of cards to us that we really couldn't deal with, if you understand. But I do want to also acknowledge the fact that we set a very high standard by having excellent performance in past storms that seem to magnify or amplify the failures of this storm, if you understand what I'm saying. You know, when we're used to getting within 2, 3, maybe 4 days after a storm, the roads are cleared shoulder to shoulder, it's kind of hard to accept the fact that this one was overwhelming, and I understand where it came from. Probably the biggest factor, biggest hurdle was the fact that we had all that ice on top of a strong, thick layer of snow. And I'm not certain that if we had done a really good job of getting all the snow off of the road, if that wouldn't have created an even worse problem with 4 inches of ice on the road. And then you also get to the fact that because of the temperatures, the things that we have, the tools and supplies that we have to fight the ice typically don't work at those extreme low temperatures. So you can throw all the salt on the roads that you want, but if you got 5, 10 degree temperatures, the normal stuff that we have is not going to work. So I understand that, but it is challenging. It's also problematic. There was one street in particular that when I got involved with it, Brady Avenue, early on in the several emails that were exchanged, was the statement that the person called the city and they were told that Brady Avenue wasn't in the city. And I got to thinking that maybe they confused it, some of the staff are confused it with Brady Court, which is clearly not, it's over near Enterprise. But that's a big PR problem when we have something like that happen. And then there was another email exchange where somebody asks for assistance because their husband had to do a medical thing, and the response from the city was, well, you don't live in the city, which was factually true, but it's problematic, and I'll tell you, it can be major problematic, and response like that resulted in the creation of the diversity committee, because somebody called and complained about a racial incident, and the response from the city was, well, you don't live in the city. And we ended up with a very critical article on the front of the Wall Street Journal on the left-hand side above the fold, front page, criticizing Bowie for being racist. I'm not suggesting that the fact that we told somebody they don't live in the city. I'm just saying that it has a negative connotation, a negative PR that we need to be careful with. The way I would expect, and the way the diversity committee came out with responding to that was, yes, you don't live in the city, but here's the resources at the county you should contact, rather than just saying you don't live in the city.
Yeah, and that's the instruction we gave people, at least in the EOC, when people called there.
Okay.
If they did not live in the city, they were given numbers to call, either the state or the county.
Okay.
And to have their streets taken care of.
Well,
We didn't leave them hanging.
Either the person misrepresented that, or there was a misstatement to this person, and it just, I'm just saying those are the, and I'm glad to hear your response. That's the kind that I would have expected. One thing that I would ask with regards to equipment, I don't want to spend a lot of money buying plows that sit in the parking spot in Public Works that only get used every 3 to 5 to 7 years. But my question would go similar to what we do with the curbside leaf collection, where we rent for the period of time. Is there a possibility where we can add to the inventory of the equipment through a short-term lease or a rental rather than owning it, so we have the necessary equipment to accomplish the work rather than spending a lot of money for trucks that sit in the parking lot? Are there possibilities of leases and short-term rentals?
Let us investigate that. We can take a look into seeing the options for that.
Okay, because that might be a way to do it in a fiscally responsible way.
Yeah, we could lease it, but we may not have anyone to drive it.
Understand. Not to pile on, but there was a major challenge with the lack of response from both the county and the state. And it was very problematic. It was strange what state highways did in clearing 197. Because what they did was they plowed almost all the way to the shoulder between intersections, and then at the intersections, the snow covered 2 lanes. That happened between the exit ramps from eastbound 50 to Northview. It happened between Northview and the entrance to Bowie Town Center, and from there to Excalibur. And it didn't make sense that how on earth could their snowplow drivers end up creating that little area that just made it worse. And coming home from, I haven't driven a vehicle since the 9th of December because of health issues. And I've rarely gotten out of the house because of that. And my wife was coming back Friday after the storm from the hospital with me on the passenger side. And I'm looking at the Google map, and it shows red all the way almost back up to 450 on 197. And it all because of that area right by Bowie Town Center was causing that. And the eastbound ramp from 50 was all the way back onto 50. So it really is problematic that state highways dropped the ball. And then when they finally got around to it, they had a major effort that they had to do to clear that because it had turned into solid, what do you call it, ice creek? Snow creek. So it was a major problem there. So we need to figure out how we can better leverage, I think, it's the only thing we do, the state to do the right thing in the major areas. Not every state highways has to have that, but in where they're creating a bigger problem than they're solving, I think we need to come up with a way to get them to, you look like you want to chomp in and say something, but.
I agree with you.
Thank you, thank you. And then one thing I mentioned by my colleagues here, your staff was talking about the fact that the trucks in, say, South Lake had to go all the way back up to Public Works. Well, I remind my colleagues that we have discussed in the past, and actually we're getting ready to act on creating a Public Works satellite in property we recently got from the county off of Mount Oak Road, but we've had that discussion for 15 years, if not longer. And I think it's now time that we maybe ought to act on that and do it so that we aren't, to me, it's irresponsible fiscally to spend a lot of money having trucks driving back a distance that is unnecessary. So I think we need to resurrect that and look at that in the context of the overall budget. I don't want to break the budget on that. But I do in the after action report, it would be helpful if part of that could also be a side-by-side comparison of how we responded in this storm versus, say, maybe the last two big storms, as far as the number of pieces of equipment we had, the people that were working. My concern is that over time we may have lost some in-house expertise that maybe those kinds of numbers might show, if you understand where I'm coming from on that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think if you ask any snowplow professional driver or Dr. Hahn here, we'd much rather have had 2 feet of snow, just snow, than the 11 inches and the 4 inches of ice on top of it.
Absolutely.
It would not have been this bad.
Absolutely. And then I'll close on this. And it's interesting because you were asked the question, Councilman Truesdale, about what do we do with the snow? And this is probably cost prohibitive now, but about 25 years ago, there was a piece, I think, on 60 Minutes talking about Montreal, and Canada gets a lot of snow up there. And they actually had trucks that would, the front of them looked like the combines that you would see on a farm where they gather the corn. And it would gather the snow and put it in the back, and there's a heater that would melt the snow, and there's a pipe that would put it down onto the street where it would, went into the street drains, and they got rid of their snow that way. And back when energy was cheap, that probably would have been a great way to solve this problem. But with it expensive now, it's probably cost prohibitive. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Brady. Councilwoman Ndebumadu? No, she's on remote. Okay, I'll assume that she doesn't have any comments. All right.
Are you looking at me?
Yes, ma'am. I just didn't. No. Councilman Ndebumadu, she moved to online.
Oh, she left.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Wolfley. I don't have any comments at this time. I echo a lot of you have covered everything comprehensively. So thank you so much for that, and for the constituents who are listening and watching. I do have some eye challenges, and my contacts were getting a bit disrupted, so I needed to leave to get some eye drops. So thank you so much for accommodating me switching to virtual.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I will close things out here with a couple of quick thoughts and suggestions, or things for you at least to look into. Brine, I don't know if brine would have helped in this situation on the front end. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, maybe it has some future value, but at least take a look-see at that possibility. It was mentioned in some places, in some comments, kind of perhaps not as directly as I'll say here, which is we had streets that were 1 and 2s, and I noted I did get out. Was it Monday or Tuesday? I don't recall. With good fortune, because I have all-wheel drive. I won't comment on the fact that my street wasn't cleared, but nonetheless, the 1s and 2s that were cleared pretty much shoulder to shoulder, and in some cases to asphalt, which is great. But I think the challenge is that at the same time we had 3s and 4s that hadn't seen any equipment at all. And I think that there's a disconnect there. And as I said earlier, there's a big difference if it's a 10-hour event and you're cleared in 8, or versus somebody else is at 10, they're not going to take too much umbrage at that. But when we start looking at distinctions that go into days, I think we probably need a different schedule evaluation for hitting those 3s and 4s once before we go back and hit the 1s and 2s all the way curb to curb. I know there's some implications with that, convenience, speed perhaps, but nonetheless, there's no sense having a cleared 1 if none of the 3s and 4s could get to their 1s and 2s. So anyway, I'd like someone to take a look at that as part of the challenges here, and it may be a situation that in big storms like this, there's a different plan of attack than when there's smaller storms. So please take that into consideration, because it was those people who were so accustomed to seeing their roads cleared in short order that were most frustrated, that were on the 3s and 4s, cul-de-sacs such as mine. Understandably, there are fewer people, so you have to, you certainly want to get to the bigger roads first. But nonetheless, as the speaker was saying earlier, appointments happen on every street, and they need to be there one way or another. At the Council of Governments meeting, there was a discussion. One representative indicated that they have a map where you can go in, punch in your address, and it will show who the responsible plowing party is. It's probably something that we could probably look into in our area. It may not need to be something with an address. It might just need to be highlights, because for us, the addresses are really not that big an issue, and the state and county roads are pretty obvious. So if there's something that we can do that's more visible to notify people, that'd be great. And then, of course, the necessary points of contact for those might be a visible chart or something like that. Cars on street, I was out and about, and I did find cars on streets. To all those people who chose to park their cars on the street, shame on you. And I'd like to warn everybody that every snowstorm, guess what we have? First-time plow drivers, and they just might be coming down your street. Get your car off the darn street. Now, I would like to add a second factor. City of Washington, I don't know if they're still doing it, but I do know that at one point in time, certainly remember when I was living in Virginia, if you went down Pennsylvania Avenue during rush hour, all those cars that were parked there after hours impeding the flow of rush hour traffic, their cars were towed right off the curb and put on the sidewalk, or not the sidewalk, usually a few feet beyond the sidewalk, so that they were removed. They were ticketed, towed. You could find your car because it wasn't much more than 10 yards from where you parked it. I think we ought to be in a position where we say, hey, put some notices out for folks, and then maybe tow people who are blocking these snow emergency routes. Maybe there's a plan where we could put them in the front yard. By the way, there's somebody on Millstream that still has a car in their front yard, so if code enforcement wouldn't mind making a little quick visit to let them know to get it off the grass. But nonetheless, something along those lines, I think it would be beneficial for everybody to be more strict about that. Snow shoveling obligations, we talked about that earlier. There were some discussions about, obviously, people who are injured, and as well as people who are permanently disabled or long-term. We need to figure out the best communication strategy for that. The collaboration with other parts of government, county and state, I would like us to look into what it would take for a collaboration agreement with those entities. I know that they requested help from us. Now is probably a good time that we might venture a proposal that would say, we'll help with reimbursements built in. I'm not looking to do their job for free, and I'm not looking to do their job before I do my own streets. But we were well at least a week ahead of our colleagues at the county level in getting all their streets done. I think we saw that they missed 7+ days of school because of how bad the roads were elsewhere. So if we could have an agreement that some of these problems with these intersections, we might say, all right, we'll take on the secondary cleanup on 197 and we'll take care of that ourselves and send the county a bill for reimbursement. And we'd also look to the city attorney for this. Probably have to make sure that we understand what liabilities are and that sort of stuff, and have that all built in so that we can do that.
Just FYI on that, the city of Bowie is one of 4 municipalities in the state that can go directly to the state to request resources during an emergency. So that is already in place, so we have that ability to go to the state and bypass the county to request those resources.
Excellent. All right, very good. So I think that's the sum of all thoughts here. Look around my colleagues. I think we've covered everything. I'll now put this in your very capable hands, and we'll look forward to hearing, what your thoughts are from the group as a whole. And then also, if there's anybody out there in Bowie land watching on TV, or those here present, and they have thoughts or ideas and they'd like to share with their council members, send us a note, and we'll forward it on to staff for consideration as part of the after-action report as well. So we'll leave it at that, and thank you all for consideration and discussion on this. There is one other item. Snow piles. I don't know what we can do about intersections and sidewalks. I know the snow's got to go somewhere, but someplace that ought to be considered. And I know that in some cases, going back to the comment, they're first-time plow drivers, and they aren't familiar exactly perhaps where a sidewalk ends and begins, and somebody's driveway, and we had a couple of those. But anyway, thank you very much with that. So now, boy, oh boy, here we are. Let's move this along. Police Department update.
Mayor, just before that, we have our mid-year budget
Oh, I'm
report.
sorry.
That's right.
Yes, indeed. We jumped ahead of schedule there.
I know,
Sorry.
trying to move us along.
Here, trying to move it along. I figure if you skip every other item, you can get through the meeting much more quickly.
Yep.
So let's go back and hit item C, and we'll do the mid-year budget, and I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Acting City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. We will refrain from reading the entire 65-page report to you this evening, but I would like to say each year when we get together with putting our budget together, in the springtime. In addition to allocating resources for all the day-to-day operations, the city prepares a number of budget objectives that are included in the budget each year. And as we go through the year and we make progress on those items, about halfway through the year, in this case it was in early December, we got reports and status from all of our departments in regards to the progress on these items. Our finance department has compiled this into a report for the city council in regards to the status on all of those budget objectives included. In that, there is also a financial summary covering our really position about midway through the year to give the city council and the public sort of a status of where we've been going throughout. This evening we're going to do a little bit of a musical chairs item where we're going to have each of our 7 department heads share a couple of items with you. Ultimately, in terms of this discussion, what I'm hoping for with this is we get into a department, we highlight a couple of items, and then seek some response from the or questions from the city council during that department. Then we'll move on to the next one. So we won't save questions for the end, but we'll just hit specifically each department, and hopefully you will keep your comments to that department, and we won't stray because we're doing musical chairs this evening. So to start it off, I wanted to begin with the city manager's department. We're going to move from there into information technology, and then the finance department for the folks that are on the hot seat and coming up for the musical chairs, because this will come quickly. First item I wanted to highlight for the city council and the city manager's budget, you'll find on page 4 of the report, and I wanted to mention this is under business operations. One of the projects that the city has is a solar farm. We have a phase one of a solar farm that is in place, and we have been working towards phase two construction of this solar farm. The anticipated goal when the second phase is complete is that we will be generating 100% of our city facility usage electricity out of our solar farm. We have it reported in here that the status is that the second phase was going to be completed in spring of 2006. Challenges with our interconnection into the grid in terms of that design, some permitting issues associated with that. I'd like to update that we are anticipating construction to start in the spring of 2026. That'll be about a 3-month construction project when we have that finally underway. So it's still moving ahead, but even as of our expectations in December, things have changed a bit from that. Next item that I wanted to make comment on comes under page 7 of your report, and this is in economic development. Our Maryland Women's Business Center Shop Local Accelerator that we have in the Bowie Town Center, that is off to a good start in its first year. We have seen the first cohort of small businesses in that have graduated from that center, and as of January, we have the second cohort in there. So good things happening in economic development. With those two things, I'll turn it over to you all on the City Council. Do you have any questions about anything in our report under the City Manager section that you would like to ask?
All righty, I see Councilwoman Rogers.
Yeah, just a quick question in regard to the Maryland Women's Business Center.
Yes.
So they are graduating out. I go over there probably every couple weeks because they have stuff in there I like to buy that's consumable.
Mike.
But the thing is, my question is, how do we track them? Where do they go next? And I thought at one point that the Bowie BIC would have some engagement with it because the BIC is basically an accelerator type of program, or incubator, I should say, type of program as well. And I did not, when I talked to the ladies there, I did not get a clear understanding about the next steps. So I'm just going to put that out there, and maybe someone can follow up, because if we're bringing them in and work, having them work for 1 year and then having them transition out, where do they transition out to? And how are they supported? Because it's just not being a year working in a store with your own business and being able to walk out and do things. It's a lot more to it. So I'll just leave that with you, acting city manager, so that you can follow up and let the council know how the BIC may be engaged in this and what the next steps are for the businesses once they graduate out of our center.
Certainly understand that.
Thank you.
We will look to help inform you as to the folks as they move along, where they go, and what success they're finding with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
That's it.
Councilwoman
Thank you,
Rogers.
Mr.
Appreciate
Acting
it.
Mayor.
Councilman Truesdale? Yeah.
Yes, thank you for the report. I just want to kind of follow up on Councilwoman Rogers in terms of the collaboration with the Bowie BIC and how it can play a part in terms of helping throughout the year process of doing projections and market analysis. Some of these businesses in the cohort has been established prior to being a part of this cohort. So they have a level of traction, but at the same time play a big part in helping to minimize the risk of having brick and mortar. And so I think it's definitely been off to a good start. I thank the EDC for really bringing this to our attention. And this was something that was done in Rockville, to whereas we were able to look at it as a model for Bowie. And I think the BIC can definitely help in making those next steps. And as an entrepreneur myself, it's really it's really enlightening, right? To have just the diversity of stores and entrepreneurs come together. So I'm looking forward to the next step in how we can work in that area.
This is a new effort for us, so I know the folks in Rockville that are helping us out with this effort are gaining experience in Bowie. We'll be coming up on a year of it being open in June, so we can look to a report to see their lessons learned and maybe what we can enhance in the future for helping out these small businesses.
For sure, for sure. Thank you, Acting Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Brady.
Thank you, Mayor. To follow up on that, I believe this is something that probably should, if it isn't already, but should be rolled into what we've tasked you already with regards to the creation of economic development policy, the creation of an economic development corporation, and the issue with regards to the Bowie Town Center Master Plan. So I think we've already kind of tasked staff with an effort on that, and this is just an element that needs to be factored in. I'd like to start off real quickly noting that at the very beginning, there are 4 tasks for the City Council, of which we've failed miserably. We've not held any town hall sessions. We've not met with the community pools. We have not adopted a strategic plan, so I think we ought to set an example. I'm not certain we can do the quarterly town halls since we're over halfway through the year, but I think we ought to bring the community pools in here, and I think we ought to quickly act on finishing the strategic plan.
Okay. Just an item on the strategic plan. The staff has been working on that. Elements of that are being incorporated into the budget, and we will be bringing the next level of that to the City Council this spring. So you will be making more progress than you have.
I appreciate that. See, we're getting pushed along. Then I would note just a quick comment with regards to the communications. I see a lot of discussion about videos and other things that are informative about Bowie. And when my wife and I went up to New England towards a couple of places, and what was interesting, what I found was they had a sign at the beginning that had a QR code that you could scan that, and it would bring up a video and start giving you the history of the facility or the background and other stuff. So I think maybe as we do these videos, maybe look at how can we tie that into something where, say at the mansion, provide a QR code, and they could come up with basically a video that they can go through at their leisure and get the history of it, do it with the stables. There's a lot in Bowie that we could do that way, and I think I'd encourage staff to look at that. With regards to the solar farms, you mentioned that, I think the comment was 100% of the city's facilities' electrical usage will be covered by this, what is produced there.
That's what we hope to have, yes.
So I can expect that we will not see any dollar values associated with electricity in the coming budget?
Oh, no, that's incorrect. We still spend money on the electricity. We have a power purchasing agreement, so we are just spending money at a defined rate associated with the power purchase agreement.
Okay, so we generate electricity on the farm that equals 100% of what we use, but we are still paying for what we use. It sounds like it's a double dipping.
It is providing us some rate stabilization that is very beneficial to us.
It would be helpful if we could kind of estimate what that savings is and publish that in the budget. It would be something that the citizens might appreciate. And then the last item, where is it? I can't find it, so we'll just move on. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Councilman Brady. And I think seeing no others, we'll turn back to staff for the next section. Thank you very much.
Very good. Information technology, Mr. Peterson.
Ooh.
All right, I'm here to update you all on the city's Smart City Initiative, item number 5, I believe on page 14 of your report. Phase 2 of the initiative is underway and remains on track for completion of this fiscal year. In December 2025, we hired Peter Ferragasso as the city's digital transformation coordinator. Peter is leading modernization efforts and driving cross-departmental innovation to ensure Phase 1 policies and objectives are effectively implemented and scaled. He's met with department heads and the City Council's IT committee, who will be important partners as this work progresses. In conjunction with the city's grants office, we also launched a partnership with the University of Maryland AI Clinic in December of 2025. And through this collaboration, graduate-level researchers are supporting select city departments with applied AI research, data analysis, and strategic guidance. This partnership will help us evaluate opportunities thoughtfully, assess risk, and strengthen governance as we advance our smart city initiatives. This partnership comes at no cost to the city. Additionally, Peter has established a connection with Monum, the team behind the City of Boston's nationally recognized data analytics and smart city program. Monum is widely regarded as one of the leading municipal data teams in the country. He's evaluating best practices and scalable models that could be adapted to the city of Bowie to enhance our data-driven decision-making and performance management capabilities. Overall, Phase 2 is focused on building internal capacity, strengthening our strategic partnerships, and positioning the city to implement sustainable data-informed innovation across departments. Looking ahead at Phase 3 of the Smart City Initiative, we'll introduce a cyclical review process. The city will regularly revisit and update our smart city goals and objectives to ensure continued adaptation and enhancement in alignment with evolving technologies and the needs of our residents. This will help ensure that innovation remains responsive, accountable, and strategically aligned over time. And I'll open the floor for questions on this or any other objectives.
All right, colleagues, any questions, thoughts, input? I will avoid the shutout and just raise one comment with, oh boy, it was Memphis, that's where it was. I was at the Council of Government meeting last week, and someone indicated there that they referred to a story about Memphis where they have placed cameras on their equipment, their public works equipment that are driving all the streets all the time. They take the cameras, record what they see, get back home, download the data, put it to an AI model of some sort, and it generates a list of everything from code infractions to road conditions that need attention. So it might be spotting potholes or obstructions or some perhaps inappropriately parked cars or what have you, and are able to then sort that out to the correct assignment to the right division for attention. If, when we start looking at smart city stuff, maybe there's some value there. Perhaps not, but I put that forward as a gee whiz kind of thing. So I'll put that in your bonnet, and you can put it in the deep six if you wish. If it's of value, remember where you got it.
The city is exploring various telematics models, and that is a growing area of interest amongst our staff with road vehicles. So
Excellent.
We will see more.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right, back to you.
All right. I see I blundered very quickly and skipped over the police department because they were right before IT. But we'll go to our finance department next, and then we got police on deck. Ms. Ogunremi, our acting finance director.
Sure, thank you. I would like to highlight the first objective for finance on page 15. Maintain the city's Certificate of Achievement for Financial Reporting and Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. We actually have an update on this. The FY 2025 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report for the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting Award will be submitted at the end of February. The current report conforms to the Certificate of Achievement requirements and will be submitted to the Government Finance Officers Association, GFOA. The city has received a Certificate of Achievement for the last 51 consecutive years, specifically for fiscal years 1974 through 2024. The city received the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the FY 2026 adopted budget. The city has received a Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the last 31 consecutive years from fiscal years 1996 through 2026. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. All right, turn to my colleagues. Any thoughts, questions, comments? Seeing none to the right, to the left, anybody? Excellent. Thank you for the good work. I know that that certificate is not easy to maintain, and it reflects well on the organization, but also on the city, and it engenders a lot of trust when you can, certify your financials in such a manner. So thank you. Good work. Back to you, sir.
All right, very good. We're moving on to our Police Department. Chief Preston, Deputy Chief Liberati, what would you like to share with the City Council and our community this evening? And we are moving to page 12 of your books.
Good evening, City Council and our residents. I'm Chief Preston with the PD. We had 3 goals for FY26. Proud to say that we've on pace to accomplish them all. One of the most important was a new initiative where we have taken on a project of incorporating citizen online reporting for minor police-related incidents. We've already launched it in a soft way. We haven't done any public advertising of it just yet, as we are still building the interface with our records management system, but it is live on the website. And we've had some residents that have found that link and have filed reports utilizing that system. It seems to be working properly. The second goal was to hire 2 police cadets, and that would help with our staffing issues. When they turn 21, they'll be able to switch over to become sworn police officers. We conducted interviews of those positions over the last 2 weeks, and they're in the process of going through background, so we're on pace to accomplish that goal. The most important was the reduction of overall crime by 10%. This was a reach goal, but we've proud to say, even with the staffing challenges that we've had, we've knocked this out the park. We're currently on pace. If you compare the first 2 months of calendar year 26 to 25, we're down 40% in overall crime. So we continue on this trend. We're more than shatter the 10% goal. So that's kind of where we are at this point. Now I say that, and hopefully we don't have a crime spree over the next couple of nights. But so far, everything's going well.
I hope it's a general trend, and I hope it's not just related to the inclement weather, keeping people at bay. But excellent work. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. Thoughts? Anybody have any thoughts, questions, concerns? Looking around left to right. Nothing up on the screen as well. Was that a request, Councilman Brady? No. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Next crew. Thank you.
Next, we've got community services coming up, and planning and sustainability is on deck. So, Mr. Spurgeon, what would you like to share with everyone?
Good evening, Mayor and council members and Bowie residents. I'm Nick Spurgeon, Director of Community Services. I'm going to highlight 3 different items, starting off with animal control, as referenced on page 21 of the report. Our staff continues to maintain a strong, positive partnership with the Bowie Claw, Citizens for Local Animal Welfare, our dedicated community ally in promoting humane animal care. One successful kitten adoption clinic was held on November 15th, 2025. 25 kittens or cats were adopted at this event. Additional events were held in both May and August of 2025, with near 40 cats adopted between those 2 events. The next event is scheduled for April 30th, 2026. The kittens available at these events come directly from the Bowie Claw's Trap Neuter Return TNR program and similar initiatives. This innovative collaborative solution helps manage feral cat populations compassionately, trapping, spraying, neutering, vaccinating, and returning cats while finding homes for the adoptable kittens. It also reduces the stray numbers, eases shelter demands, and contributes to a healthier, more balanced community for residents and animals alike. Within housing and code compliance, as referenced on page 19, we are working hand in hand with the IT department and our select vendor, Tyler Technologies, to implement new code compliance and permitting software system. The project kicked off in December 2025. It's a robust project that's going to take a little bit of time to fully implement. Our code software hasn't been changed in over a decade. This will allow us some innovative features: GIS compatibility, code officers being able to work autonomously from the field without having to come back to the office to do reports. Pretty robust system. Third, our capital improvement project for the golf course driving range renovation and hole number 9 green replacement referenced on page 31 is progressing well. A new green for hole 9 was installed last fall with turf establishment underway. It will open this spring. The driving range metal building is installed and roof work is currently in progress. Once complete, this lighted year-round state-of-the-art recreation facility will feature 16 covered bays, which will be heated with leisure group seating, 15 open-air bays, top tracer technology for instant ball tracking, games, and analytics, similar to Topgolf for engaging practices and fun, welcoming food and beverage services, and newly constructed family-style restrooms to better support users. A grand opening is estimated for June 2026, once the new turf is fully established. This upgrade will attract more families and visitors, boost revenue potential, and elevate our golf course as a premier recreational asset for the community. This is what I have to offer this evening, if you have any questions. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you very much. Colleagues, any questions, thoughts, concerns? Looking left, looking right. And, all right, we'll proceed from here, and back to you, sir.
Very good. I believe Mr. Hall has a 100-slide PowerPoint available for us.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be brief. Dan wouldn't let me do that, so as much as I'd love to share, I would like to highlight an item on number 5 near the top of page 35, and that has to do with revitalization of the Bowie Town Center. As you all are aware, we've had several conversations about that, and 2 good efforts, including outreach and events that several of you were involved in, and also the Economic Development Committee. So it's been I've now been here just a little over a year. It's been exciting. A lot of things have been exciting, but certainly working with economic development and the Economic Development Committee on the Bowie Town Center issue. I think that's a key long-term issue for the city. I think so also speaks to sustainability. So to me, sustainability is the traditional environmental activities and battling climate change. It's also having a sustainable development and sustainable economic development. To me, all those things are different flavors of sustainability all come together. Going forward, taking the work of the Economic Development Committee and their report that was presented to you all in October, and then taking the Urban Land Institute TAP, a Technical Assistance Panel product that we should be getting back from Urban Land Institute any day now, and moving forward with that through the spring as we start the more outreach from those 2 products to get community feedback and to move forward towards working with new owners and other partners to try to realize the vision, the general vision that has been developed there. All that, pairing it up and making connections to the Environmental Action Plan that you all adopted back in December. That's what I have for you tonight. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you very much. Any thoughts or questions, concerns, discussion points from those gathered here? Online, anything from Councilwoman Rogers or Councilwoman Ndebamadu? All right, hearing none, we'll turn back to you. Oh,
No, I'm good. Thank you so much.
excellent, thank you.
I'm good as well. Thank
Excellent, thank you.
All right, very good. On deck, we're going to bring Lola Ogunremi back for our financial summary in just a moment. But first, we have Hyung An in our Public Works Department. What would you like to share, sir?
Acting Mayor, Council. I'd like to highlight 3 items. The first item is related to solid waste operation. It's not in this mid-year budget because the budget approved for expansion of food waste pickup is part of the operation budget, but I'd like to give you an update about the progress. So initially, we requested and the council approved the budget for contracting out food waste pickup service for part of the city as an initial phase. But based on the price ranges we received, it wasn't sustainable. So to give you perspective, if we were to expand to entire city, we have about little over 23,000 accounts and growing. Once we have once the Melford, Mill Branch, South Lake fully developed, we expect to have over 24,000 accounts in the city, and it costs the city as much as $10 million per year if we were to contract this out. So instead, we decided to pursue this in-house option. So based on the budget approved, we already ordered the specialized food waste pickup truck because we don't want to leave anything behind or juices. So this is a truck that's especially designed for with the trash with a higher liquid contents. It's not going to. It's a specialized design for food waste pickup, to be specific. And also, we already placed the order truck, but the delivery time is unknown. But we expect to receive them sometime in the summer, July, August, September timeframe. But once we have the truck, and we are working closely with the planning department about the plan. But initially, we are hoping to expand this to about 5,000 households based on the voluntary participation. But this option is a more sustainable from fiscal standpoint, and we have also have more control over our own operation. And that's what's happening with the food waste pickup service expansion. It's underway, and we start implementing. We will begin implementation in coming this fall. Next item is the LED streetlight upgrades. So as of we've just completed the LED upgrades in Northbridge, Bel Air Greens, and Mount Oak. As of February 2026, we have replaced about 1,600 streetlights out of 6,200. So the percentage-wise, it's about a little over a quarter of the streetlights city owns and maintains have been replaced with LED lights, and the effort will continue. The last item is the water and sewer rehab. Well, again, what happened in DC a couple weeks ago, the sewage issue. So this is exactly why we are being proactive, and thanks to council's support, we are making progress. As of 2026. That we've accomplished about 10 miles for sewer for water main out of 92 miles, and about 5 miles out of 90 miles of sewer line. We will continue making the progress, and by 2031, we should be able to accomplish about 20 miles, about 20%, 25% of the system. Both for sewer and a water main. That's the projection.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Sir?
Comments, questions from colleagues? Nothing online there. All right. Yes, Councilman Brady.
Thank you. Just a quick question following up on your first item with regards to the food waste.
Yes, sir.
It's better that we're reaching a quarter of the city than doing a small area to see if it works. What do you think, what does staff think the outlook is on getting to 100%?
So we are able to accommodate 100%, but we don't want to overwhelm the public. That's why we are targeting 5,000 accounts in the year one.
Right.
We are able to accommodate up to 1,500 pickups per day. So we are well capable of accommodate entire city if there's a demand. But just like how city implemented the recycling program, like to take more gradual approach, and it may take time to educate and spread words among the city constituents. So that's why we are targeting 5,000 accounts. But even 5,000 accounts, I think we we may not able to achieve the goal because it's going to be voluntary system. As presented to you before, right now we have a pilot program and participation rate is about 10-12% range. So even 5,000 accounts, even if a quarter of the city participates, that's about 5,000 accounts.
Okay.
Councilman.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. One quick comment, yes, on the water and sewer. It is quite a mess that's been experienced in the city, and the state of Maryland's got a real problem on its hands in terms of the waterway impact to the community. So thank you for the updates on the water system. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Or the sewer, anyway. Back to you, sir.
All right, that brings us through all 7 of our departments in terms of an update on the budget objectives that they've been working on. The last part of this report is a financial summary. Ms. Ogunremi, do you have anything you'd like to share with our council before we take questions from them?
Sure. Good evening, Lola Ogunremi, Acting Finance Director. I'll be taking you through the financial summary, which starts on page 55 of the mid-year budget report. The table on page 55 illustrates our major revenue sources for fiscal year 2026 as of the midpoint of the fiscal year. We see the different categories of revenues and the total revenue for FY 2026 compared to FY 2025 midpoint. Table on page 56 shows our expenditures as of the midpoint of FY 2026 for our various departments. So you can scan through the table. And I'll start off on page 57. At the mid-year point of FY 2026, general fund revenues surpassed revenues generated as of the mid-year point of FY 2025 by $3.9 million. General fund revenues recognized at mid-year was $53.7 million, and that represented 58.5% of total budgeted revenues for fiscal year 2026, compared to $49.7 million in revenues recognized as of the mid-year point of FY 2025. Again, I'd like to point out that our real property taxes totaled $43.8 million as of the midpoint of FY 2026, and that was an increase of $4.2 million from the income tax received last year. So showing our expenditures as of the midpoint of FY 2026, we go to page 58, and I'll share with you that general fund expenditures during the first 6 months of FY 2026 totaled $35.5 million, and that represented 39% of the FY 2026 budget, compared to $32.6 million for FY 2025, which again was 39% of the FY 2025 budget. Major expenditures are personnel services, which are for our staff members, payroll taxes and benefits. We had $20.3 million as of December 31, 2025, and that's almost in line with what we experienced last year, of $19.5 million as of December 31, 2024. We have a couple of graphs starting on page 59, and that just depicts our prior year versus our current year expenditures, so you can scan through to see what the trajectory has been year over year as far as our expenditures are concerned. I'd like to point out on page 60, our Equipment Acquisition and Replacement Fund. Highlight is that as of the midpoint of the year, we earned $197,161 of revenues for the Equipment Acquisition and Replacement Fund, which primarily consisted of the sale of capital assets and interest income. Expenditures for that fund summed up to $1,981,884. And the next section for Capital Projects Fund shows that we expended $934,745 as of the midpoint of FY 2026. The final section of the financial summary starts on page 61, and that's for the water and sewer revenues. This table shows the water and sewer revenues earned as of the midpoint of FY 2026 compared to what was earned as of the midpoint of FY 2025. And we have the revenues by category. The next table on page 62 shows the expenditures by division for FY 2026 versus FY 2025 for the different divisions in the water and sewer fund. I'd like to point out on page 63, you can also see that on page 61, that our water and sewer revenues as of December 31, 2025 summed up to $13.7 million, which exceeded the revenue amount for FY 2024 by $9.6 million. And you'll notice from the table that the difference comes from the GO bond proceeds that were received in November 2025 in the amount of $9.6 million. That makes up the difference between the revenues recognized midpoint FY 26 versus midpoint FY 2025. So going through page 64, we see the expenditures for the water and sewer fund. As of the midpoint of FY 2026, we expended $7.7 million compared to $5.9 million expended as of the midpoint of FY 2025. And the major difference for this variation in expenditures was due to the capital outlay for the water distribution recapitalization project that ended up being 48% higher than the midpoint expenditures as of the midpoint of FY 2025. Again, we have similar graphs for you to visualize the current year expenditures versus the prior expenditures on page 65. And that takes us through the entire financial summary. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So as the city council can see, a lot of the revenues and expenditures are happening on track. We don't have any significant anomalies in terms of our budget this year, aside from, as she mentioned, bringing in some general obligation bond debt revenue, making things look a little bit different. But does the city council have any questions as to our financial position at mid-year?
All right, let's see, colleagues, anything here remotely, anything? Councilwoman Rogers.
Yes, real quick. I guess something to think about is the sustainability of the budget. As long as our fund balance stays strong, I guess we're okay. But just something to think about as we move forward the rest of this fiscal year and looking how the spending compares to the revenue. I am a bit concerned about the trends that I see.
The city council will have its work cut out for it when we come to April. So
thank you.
Just to give you a little preview.
Okay, thank you. That's all. I'm going to go back on mute.
Excellent, thank you. Any other questions, thoughts, comments? No? Quick question from me, hearing none further from my colleagues. Do we have a understanding of where we will be end of year, or a forecast where we'll be end of year with the fund balance?
So typically I'll say overperform in the sense that we end up spending less than we think we'll spend. And it's not always a good thing because sometimes it's due to factors beyond our control, things being delayed. So so that's one of the reasons why we think there'll be less pressure on the fund balance at the end of the year, but we do have a decline in fund balance that we'll have to manage accordingly.
All right, thank you very much, appreciate it. All righty. Back to you, sir. Any concluding remarks on your part?
No concluding remarks. I think we're ready to move on to the police department.
Very well then. Thank you all very much for your updates, and we'll turn this over to Chief again.
Good evening again. Good to be before you again to go over our quarterly update. So I'll jump right into staffing. We've been very busy over this last period of hiring quite a few sworn and civilian members. I'm happy to report that we have filled all of our civilian vacancies, so we have been very successful in that. We have an authorized strength, sworn strength of 70. However, we were awarded a grant by the COPS office for $625,000, which would bring our authorized strength to 75 sworn officers. The focus of those officers has to be in the area of nuisance abatement, which is something that has been a growing issue within the city, that we've been dealing with homelessness and code compliance issues and helping to mitigate those issues. Given that we actually have 59 sworn positions filled, and that includes 3 officers that are currently in the police academy. So that leaves us with a total of 16 vacancies remaining to fill. So our marketing efforts, the marketing company that we hired has been very successful in attracting qualified candidates, and we continue to have a pool of applicants as we consider getting them into and graduating the police academy. As you are well aware, the process for hiring a police officer takes well over a year between by the time we hire them, getting through a police academy and through field training. It takes about a year before we really realize that benefit of that additional officer to our sworn complement. I now go to calls for service. In 2024, we handled 30,709 calls for service. In 2025, we handled 33,768 calls for service, an increase of 3,059 more calls. The one correlation, which is actually a positive, is that in 2024, we actually had 14 use of force incidents. I'm happy to report in 2025, that number went down to 8. Even though we increased the number of calls for service that we had less use of force incidents. That's a testament to the officers and the restraint that they show and the respect that they have for the members of this community. As we continue, theft is something that I spoke earlier about as going in the correct direction. The most notable reduction that we had was in the area of shoplifting, where we saw a 13.9% reduction, and in theft from auto, a 31% reduction thus far, 24 to 25 comparison. Our investigative section has been very successful over the course of this year. Of the cases that were assigned that had solvability factors, we made 83 arrests, 3 were found to be unfounded, 11 were suspended. It resulted in a closure rate of those cases that were assigned of 82.17%. That's an outstanding closure rate and great work by the investigators day in and day out. We handle numerous community events, as you're well aware, and community programs that we host, assisting with Memorial Day Parade, Bowie Fest, National Night Out. We have our next Citizens Police Academy will be starting in the first week of March. We continue to put on multiple community service programs. I'm going to ask Deputy Chief Liberati to talk about our speed cameras and the traffic management work group and the work that's been done by that group.
Good evening, Council. Deputy Chief Robert Liberati here. Glad to speak to you tonight about the Traffic Management Committee. We meet monthly. This is where the suggestions, complaints, concerns go to the police department, public works, planning, et cetera, different members of the group when we look at traffic situations. We take this information that comes from the public, we take the accidents, the major accidents that we work, the serious accidents, and we come together and we look at issues with the roadways, signage, enforcement, everything from speed cameras to physical enforcement by our officers, and we make changes and suggestions and work together to come up with solutions to make our roadways safer in the city. You'll see that we saw a reduction of 16,000 speed camera violations between 24 and 25. I just want to point out those are from two major issues. One is things beyond our control, environmental factors. For instance, the bridge at Chestnut Avenue was closed for work. That reduced our violations 6,400 there by itself. But then we had reductions on 197 in front of Tasker. That camera went down nearly 500 violations, and that really was a behavior modification, as our drivers now know they're going to get a ticket if they speed through that location. But good cooperation between the different parts of city government, and it gives an outlet for us to handle the suggestions that come from the public.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. And then to conclude, I want to go over some of the statistical information for some of our enforcement actions. The police department conducted 3,629 traffic stops. Of that, 1,460 traffic citations were issued, 4,355 warnings were issued. Equipment repair orders was 515, and we made 39 arrests for driving under the influence. Throughout the city, there were 526 crashes. 60 of those involved injuries. 112 of those were hit and runs. 23 of those included drivers under the influence. We had two fatal accidents that occurred throughout the city. One was closed and is still pending a decision by the state's attorney's office for review, and one was a pedestrian struck, which was pedestrian error. Those are the major highlights that we have for you this evening, and I will welcome any questions that the council may have.
All right, thank you. I'll look to my colleagues, see if there are any thoughts or questions. I see Councilwoman Rogers.
Hi, just a really quick, easy question, because I can answer them because I'm at home. I can ask because I'm at home. I'm sorry, it'll only be a minute. The traffic committee, is that an open committee, or, I mean, can the public come in and listen? Or
No, that is staff only.
Staff, oh, okay. All right. Thank you. That's the only question I had.
I will chime in, though. We do have a public safety committee that is a public-facing. I'm not sure what the level is, if it's filled at the moment or not, but they are public meetings. So there's an opportunity for members of the community to attend those sessions as well, as they are, as I say, open to the public. So if there's anybody who's interested, there is an avenue to get involved. Yes.
Yeah, the currently all the committee chair or all the committee positions are filled. However, it is an open format. People can either join us online or come down to the
Excellent.
station
Thank you.
monthly.
Oh, so they can participate. I mean, not participate, they can come and view, because
No.
I get a lot of
It's a
traffic
different,
questions.
my apologies. There are two different committees. The one committee is
You
in,
talked about the public service.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, I understand. Okay,
Yep.
never mind. All right. Going on mute.
Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts, comments, questions? Excellent. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate your time, energy, and effort this evening as we round the bend, head towards the home stretch. And what do we have next? It's Spurgeon on the inside.
With that introduction, we have our amphitheater project. We need to give the city council a little update on what's going on with that. Mr. Spurgeon.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Mr. Spurgeon?
So I'm going to put a real positive spin this late in the evening. We have some really cool things going on with the amphitheater. Look at that beautiful, beautiful picture. That is what the amphitheater is going to look like. Demolition starts on Monday. So small little story, but back in, I think it was around 2000 when I first couple years here with the city. It was on the capital project list to be demolished and replaced. So here we are 26 years down the road, and it's finally going to happen. The contract has been awarded. The vendor, Warner, has already put up the construction fence. The demolition starts on Monday. It's going to be about a 3-week process. The unfortunate news, we got to modify some of our programming this summer. And I just want to highlight that our team in community services is engaged to reimagine what the programming is going to look like this summer. It's not a permanent change in how we do programming, but it will impact our events in June specifically. So that would be Bowie Fest and the Juneteenth events. Let me see if we have some more. So I can't read that, so I'm going to have to read this. Work will be concentrated at the amphitheater and the immediate surrounding area. The site will be fenced during demolition and construction for safety and security. The southern portion of the parking lot and adjacent asphalt path will be used for contractor staging and deliveries. Safety and security for residents, guests, staff, and contractors remains our priority here at the park. The picture that you see right here is the impact area adjacent and contiguous to the amphitheater. This is for staging, vehicles, dumpsters, all the stuff that comes along with the project. The project is replacing the amphitheater stage structure, not the amphitheater lawn. We do not want to damage the lawn. The lawn is nice. It's already a finished product, already has irrigation, so we don't want to stage on the amphitheater lawn. That would be a bad thing. So as you can see from this picture, this is where all the staging area is. The next picture in red is the electric grid impact on that side of the park. So the park includes upgrades to the electric systems. Traditionally at our events at Allen Pond, this is the area where all the food vendors are. Oftentimes we have to bring in loud generators, that type of stuff for the food vendors. We endeavor to resolve that issue with this project. It is included in the project to have underground electric, all of it would be upgraded, multiple gang boxes to support all the food vendors moving down the line. On the right side of the amphitheater, this next picture is additional electric work. So up in the upper right-hand corner is the major feed that comes into the park that will support the amphitheater, and there'll be lines that are going to be trenched in there, new transformer boxes, the works. So it's an exciting time to be here and be able to enjoy this project. But like I said, we do have some challenges. So staff recommendation to reimagine Bowie Fest and the Juneteenth Jubilee Festival, and instead host a series of smaller community-centered events during the weeks originally scheduled for the festivals. Bowie Fest, in lieu of Bowie Fest, we will be doing Bowie Band's concert at City Hall, Farmers Market expansion, a citywide scavenger hunt, and family-centered arts activities. For Juneteenth Jubilee, we'll be doing a movie night centered on theme, African dance class, African American art program, and Juneteenth educational display. Here to answer any questions you all have.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I'll look to colleagues, see if there are thoughts, comments, questions. Councilman Estev.
Hey, Mr. Spurgeon. So a couple quick things for background for residents. One, this is a project we've been contemplating for a long time. Can you talk to us just very briefly about where we started with this, why we're replacing the amphitheater, how we got here?
Okay, so the amphitheater was constructed, we believe, around 1971. It is end of life. It has been end of life since I just mentioned about 2000. So we're 26 years beyond its useful life. It is...
Having walked on it a couple times, I'd agree with that assessment.
Yeah, it's time. It's beyond time. This project is also being funded through a HUD grant, where we are getting $1.7 million towards the project, which is fantastic. It's going to, the HUD grant will more than cover this project. It'll also be used for a splash pad that will be built at Allen Pond. Different project, different topic. We'll talk about that later.
All good news.
All good news, exactly. But like I said, this is huge. We anticipate to be, or estimate to be finished in July, so middle of summer. We also endeavor to have a big grand opening concert, not the traditional Sunday concert, something new, special, when we do open this up.
And because this is being funded by this HUD grant, I take it that that limits when we can do the work, right? We
That's
can't,
correct.
like,
We have
delay it a
limitations
little
and-
bit and wait for the season because we're getting essentially money from the feds to do this.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Mr. Spurgeon.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Rogers?
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I believe the citizens of Bowie will really enjoy this new amphitheater. It looks beautiful. Question, when we do not do Bowie Fest or Juneteenth, have you kind of scoped out the revenue impact for renting space for vendors and, other opportunities that we have to create revenue from those two events?
Sure. I can assure you that both of those events cost the city money. They're,
Okay.
yeah.
Great. That's what I needed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Brady?
And just a clarification to make sure your response to Councilman Esteve's question regarding the timing. So this project has to be done by the end of June?
No. But we have already done notice to proceed on the project. Fence is up, demolition starts on Monday. Any delays at this juncture will cost money.
No, I'm going back to asking, because this is funded by a grant, does it have to be expended during this fiscal year? Is that why we're doing it from February to June?
We are doing it from February to June as part of the traditional procurement process. We started the procurement process back in October. It has followed the traditional schedule for procurement.
So would there have been any impact on the grant if we had pushed it off and had them do it maybe July to February? I mean, I'm trying to figure out why.
Yes,
why we
potentially.
scheduled it.
I'm not going to say yes or no on that. There was concern with starting to draw down that grant as soon as possible based on the current climate.
Okay.
So, Councilman Brady, I think it's fair to say when we were moving ahead with this project, we were not anticipating it originally impacting Juneteenth and Bowie Fest. The effort was underway to get that done beforehand. The reason we're coming to you at this time is because of externalities has put us to the point where the project is now impacting those events. So the challenge that we have is we went through the procurement process. We have let the contract. The contractor is ready to go. Weather, our federal partners, all those elements have made it just a little bit later than we would have ideally liked to have had.
Okay. Thank you.
All righty, thank you. Councilman?
Oh, just a quick question. So just to get clarity, you mentioned it's going to take 3 weeks to do this project, but it's 3 months.
3 weeks, 3 weeks to do the demolition.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
demolition
3
will
months.
take approximately 3 weeks.
Okay. We're looking at National Night Out as a night that we can enjoy this.
Ideally.
Okay. And an extra in terms of, I guess, a ribbon cutting, right, for this?
That's correct. There would be a separate ribbon cutting concert activity, and it is programmed within the budget already.
Okay, great. That's it. That's all. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you, Councilman. No comments from me, and I see Councilwoman Rogers has Comment?
No, I forgot to take my hand down.
That's fine.
I'm sorry.
Not a problem. Councilwoman Ndebamadu, anything from you? No. Hearing nothing? Okay. All right.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, then. Thank you so very much for being with us here late this evening. I am obviously disappointed in the circumstances which we find ourselves, but I don't know that there are too many other alternatives at hand, recognizing that changing the entire schedule at this point has been delayed. I don't think there are too many other options. So thank you for trying to make lemonade out of the few lemons that we were handed, and we'll suffer through the absence, and we will hope to have some good programming to do the best we can in its stead.
Acting Mayor.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sorry.
Pardon me.
Acting Mayor
Yes,
Wolfley.
Councilman.
I'm so sorry. Have we communicated with the many vendors and stakeholders who work at these two events?
That would have been premature. We were going to have this conversation with council first.
But those
yes,
conversations
it
didn't
will
happen
be on our
expeditiously?
radar.
Okay, understood.
Thank
Thank
you
you so much.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. And now for everyone's penultimate favorite item, G, next to last, is the Governor's Green Apartment Code Update. I will turn to Councilman Truesdale, who asked to have a brief conversation, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. Appreciate it. Something real quick. In response to the residents' complaints about the rodent infestation at Governor Green Apartments, the Department of Community Service conducted a site visit, and Ross Management, they did services there, and we had gotten a report from them, and one of the main, five of the main things that they wanted to really focus on was to install proof dumpsters, enclosures, implement a cohesive rodent abatement plan, community education and resident engagement, along with enhanced on-site waste management. So those things had been done, and I asked if, staff can have consideration in terms of putting on the next agenda an attachment sheet of the update that I believe we got from city staff, from Lori Cunningham and others, to really kind of bring more clarity to the update of that situation. So that's pretty much my axing.
Certainly, we can do that. I did have a brief update for council this evening. And I can share that with you at this time. As of the update from Code Compliance earlier today, they have captured 202 rats total. 108 of those through snap traps. They had temporarily paused the dusting efforts because of the ice. They couldn't see the burrows, but that did resume on February 13th. So they did resume that just a few days ago.
Okay, great. Well, that's good for record. I feel like the Pied Piper of Bowie, and making sure that Ross Management keep their promise. So thank you so much for the update.
Certainly, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, city staff. Thank you to all who are here this evening, who've stuck through it with us, and those watching at home. I will turn to my colleagues to see if there's anybody that has any other things that they'd like to do, say maybe adjourn.
Mr. Acting Mayor, I would like to read several chapters from War and Peace, if my colleagues would be so inclined.
I would love that if you began in the middle, sir.
Very good.
And then
I just
circle
wanna...
back to the front.
No, in fact, before I move to adjourn, I just wanted to say thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor, for stepping up into this role. Very suddenly. I know this was an incredibly long meeting for you to lead tonight, but on behalf of all of us, of your colleagues, Thank you for stepping in. Thank you for leading us through this transition. We are grateful for your leadership.
Most welcome. Thank you. Very kind.
And with that, Mr. Acting Mayor, I'd like to move to adjourn.
It's been so moved, and there's been a second, proper second, and a quick one at that. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Good morning.